slide around.
Uh-huh.
So you can find your way through the hole.
It is very neat.
Okay, okay. Hold
And
on.
then
I'm gonna
maybe you'll have
visit
to do
around.
it again under the
Do it,
stairs.
jump,
If you do it down
jump.
here, it'll be
We'll have a tour.
exploit away.
There you
There we
go.
go.
All right, you're back in. Welcome.
Oh, man, I was scared.
Yeah, they're supposed to. I thought they fixed it.
I know, right? That's what we do.
Oh,
There you go. You can do it.
Oh, no, I have
Yeah,
to
you did it. Nice job.
Yeah, it's
Hi, Fanny.
It does
Right.
work. It's not exactly like
They knew we were
going
gonna find it. I was actually trying to stand on the ledge.
So what do you
because I
do
could
in
sneak
VR?
my way through there.
I gotta keep
Me?
helping people in case they have problems.
I do more AR than VR.
Oh, I
But I'm
see.
putting together a service for people to create their to get an avatar, a realistic avatar of themselves
Ooh.
on
Interesting.
a platform like this one. So you can look like
Interesting.
you.
Oh,
Is it like a 3D scanning process, or you take pictures from different angles and then scan that onto a model?
Pictures.
Ah, okay.
Insert.
Pictures is good.
And we mesh it.
oh.
But I'm putting together
So
a service for
photogrammetry
people.
with like iOS or something, or
You can do photogrammetry with any camera, I think, as long as
Yeah,
you just put it
true,
onto
that's
a
true.
Interesting.
Platform like
I'm
this
just
one.
thinking about
Yeah.
the ease of use for the average person.
Oh, they just
Yeah.
upload. So give us some photos. Can look like you. And we basically it's
Oh.
still a manual process, you know.
Okay, so it's more like you take pieces of their arm and put it on the arm. Okay, I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah. So we can get the
That's cool.
textures, the hair, and the eyes properly
Mm-hmm.
set up.
Hey, are you a Proteus guy? Are you the lunch?
That's
Were you in
pretty cool.
Launchpad?
There's people at booth.
Were you in Launchpad?
Are you moving? Because for me, you're still at spawn.
I'm moving.
I don't see you
Done.
moving at all. That's interesting. I just see you right here.
Hi, Cordelia. How you doing?
What?
We
If
can
you
shake
see
hands.
people not moving and you only hear their voice, or you see that they're
I
invisible,
feel like I should
you probably
sneak
need to
on you
rejoin
guys.
the app after the server restart.
It's out of control.
They do, or one sec.
They do.
They need to rejoin?
They
Okay.
need to rejoin.
All right, I'll tell them that.
Hey
By the
guys,
way, is there a mute
so I'm gonna
button
leave
for
the
us?
emails completely to you guys. If it turns out that
We
they
reached
No,
the
there's
max
unfortunately
email
not a mute button.
per hour on our domain.
At least
it
as far as
seems.
I know of.
You may hear Captain.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna
send
So
it to
I'm
you
just gonna
personally.
start.
Two.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using the
Whoever was
Gmail.
talking
Can we
about
still
the
receive
photogrammetry
emails
thing,
even
you
though
can
we
see
limit?
rejoin
Receive.
given that you are standing
It's not
away
much
from me. I'm not the one
consolation,
else is seeing you
but
standing in
I'm gonna
place.
post, and I'm gonna use Scrum to
Someone is also
communicate
embedded
text.
in the keyboard. It would be super cool
Alright,
if they
hey,
would move
you
out of
That's the
the
guys.
stream.
So whoever was talking about photogrammetry
Where'd you
and
go?
So if they
Hi.
can't attend on
avatars
desktop,
using
Um,
they don't have
so,
Windows,
rejoin given that
don't
That's-
forget
that's
I
the
have
best
to
we could
go
do.
and run
there may
out
have been a
and grab
server restart
Caroline.
that caused
So,
an issue with that.
I might put Lachlan in here.
unless you guys can think of a
We're
So he might be.
There's
clever,
no way to-
unless there's a way you guys
15
can
minutes.
do like a clever thing where you
still
run on
moving around,
desktop
that's weird.
If I start
and you
leaping off
pipe
of
Yeah, I
things
think
for
their
some reason,
voice
you'll know
through
that
your
I've changed.
computer so they speak through you.
Oh,
Not
oh, well,
changing your
But
position.
just an idea, but you don't have to,
Figure it out.
I
you
hear
know,
your
you don't have to
voice
kill
over
yourselves
here.
over it.
Here.
So
Did he?
Yeah.
yeah.
You should have heard him, Corday.
just
He
simply
went
put-
Alright,
downstairs.
I'm gonna completely focus on the
telling
conference now,
Colin,
so I'll let
like,
you guys
Yeah, sorry about that.
leave this
focus on that.
pro
Do you want us to
builder
record too,
stuff
or are
and
you okay?
That'd be great if you can get to it, but emails, getting people into the conference is top priority. So Wyatt is mostly helping people out now, so I'm gonna help people out now too. We're gonna try to start on schedule if we have all of
What he's
our
basically
speakers.
hovering up here. I don't know how
Also,
he
if
did it,
anyone
but
needs to relocate the keyboard, there should be a button on your controller. For Oculus, it's
Yes.
B, or for bot.
Here she goes. Here she goes.
You
Here
open
she
it.
goes. That's amazing. It's really funny.
Let's see what all the
Don't
fuss
turn around,
is.
wave.
Turn around.
Hey there, Jeremy.
Can you
I
do
heard
it
my name.
backwards so that you can like
I'm directly
be
behind your
hanging out?
avatar.
Yeah,
It's
there you
Ryan
go.
from Wooger.
Oh, that's super cool.
Hi Ryan, how's it going? Oh,
Good.
hi.
Thanks for putting this together.
Yeah,
God,
thanks a lot
what's
for making it. I'm glad you can make it.
No.
Booth looks great.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, glad you think so.
great.
Very cool.
Everything
You're
looks pretty
telling
sweet.
her,
Guess we could-
Make it
Yeah.
stop.
I'm just
So-
looking up the Vive screenshot tips again. Let's see.
Really
It
hard to
is
take anything
right
seriously at
controller
this crowd.
system button or right trigger. Okay.
Nice.
Let's see.
They're gonna regret
Welcome,
not having
Sean.
that mute button really soon.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yep. Feel free to ask Wyatt or me or any
Ooh, I
folks
just
from
fell through the wall.
BW
Oh,
for help
cool.
if you guys
That's where
need
I wanted to
assistance. We'll be
be.
walking around.
Sweet.
We usually have somebody around
Hey,
spawn. I
I
think
got the best
Wyatt's
seats
at
in the
spawn right
house.
now. He's help desk.
Right?
Benny's help desk at spawn
Well,
as
you
well.
guys
Yeah,
ended up.
yeah, it's in there somewhere.
you
Somehow I
left
got
Hi,
through.
Joe.
the
Looking
rotation
good.
bug in. Like you fixed
Oh,
it
thank
before
you.
where it was
It's a
rotating
great
on the
spot.
character, and now it's
Yeah.
rotating on the center of the play
I was in
space
the wall.
again.
If you there's a
I thought you
spot
did,
where you
'cause
can get through.
I don't know.
Joe, I don't think I can hear you right now, but I do see you moving around. So you're
Hey,
in.
did you make it? Hey, that's right. The girls are up here. What's wrong with you, men folk? Can't figure it out?
Is that me?
Yep, I hear
I'm
you,
gonna go
Joe.
sit on this
Right.
couch,
Welcome.
guys.
Where's Nelda when you need her? She
Yeah.
needs
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Yeah, excited to
Great.
have you.
Hello.
Welcome everyone.
if
If you're having
you-
difficulty
so on
accessing
desktop,
accessing the
if
menu,
you would
can
like to
also,
change your
move it
avatar,
to another
you can
place
hit
by
the
pressing the menu
F2.
button or your B button.
I'm gonna wait for his instructions first. F2, you can hit the F2 button on
You're
desktop
just
if you'd like to
wrong,
switch your
silly.
avatar on desktop.
Yep. So you look like.
Okay, great.
Um,
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the same menu as you filled in your name tag. So I see you got your name tag correctly, so that's good. That's working.
Welcome
It's pretty
Andy.
good.
Welcome Philippe.
Great. So I just need to get an avatar.
I'm back.
Yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. We only have 2 right now.
That's
Hey,
okay.
whatever it takes. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There's almost a new person coming through. You're almost through the wall.
Ooh,
Yes!
an at Microsoft.
Congratulations. Come join the cool
Welcome,
kids.
Dave.
Hey.
Hi.
Hold on, Jeremy.
Do you have a work email that you'd like to add to your name tag, or do you like to keep it as Dave?
Make a need to make work email.
So, do you remember the guy Launchpad from Proteus? Is that him?
Dane, what's up?
You know?
Dave. And Chris, how's it going up there?
Hi, Chris. How's
It's
it going?
going great.
Hi.
We're having fun breaking things. It's really fun. up
So,
here.
glad to see
Oh,
that you
you'll
made it through
you'll
the
find
wall.
you'll find plenty of
Fine.
things to break.
If you're in the quest, you
Oh,
can
fine.
see
Wanna be
sure.
Hi,
close,
Michael. Welcome.
So, you know, we had to make the extra effort for that. I was like, what if I could just sit down on the ledge over the
Hey, Jeremy.
Hi, welcome.
Actually.
Who is this? May I ask?
Oh, is that Joe?
Oh,
Oh, I can't. Let me turn up my
Hi.
volume.
That must be Joe. I
Wow.
recognize his voice.
Okay. Could you?
Always okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
I'm still
Yeah,
a
I
girl.
think we should maybe.
So am
that
I.
out.
Which that?
Oh yeah, that needs to go in the
I don't really mind, but
Yeah, right.
just want to make sure that it's not too uncanny for
for an
people
emo
to
or
really know.
kind of like staring at the ceiling.
Right.
So time is now 11:50
hi,
a.m.
Sean.
Pacific time.
Hey, Wyatt.
We're gonna give about 10 minutes
Hello.
for the exhibitors to get to their booths. Exhibition will open at 12 o'clock in 10 minutes. It'll open in 10 minutes.
Hey Wyatt.
Hello, Joe. You're gonna need to set your username and email.
Yeah, I need to check in.
We're helping folks
Yeah, you
sign in
can
right now.
you can reposition the keyboard if you like by using the Quest B button.
Yes.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Hi, Sean.
Everything sounds clear.
Good.
I'll
I have to use
I'll
my,
be
I
at my
have to use my
booth.
keyboard to move around.
This
Why?
is your booth?
Cause I
Yes,
do
this
that
is our
with
booth.
Mark With,
Yeah.
OVR.
I
Wow, this is so amazing.
thank you, thank you, Chris.
I
Yeah, I'm glad your
now.
team got to join. I saw you had 3 registrations. Oh, the whole team, the whole gang is here.
When did you get a quest?
Yes.
No, index. I said index.
Yeah, I got to check out your website a little bit. Very, very cool stuff you guys are working on. It's fitness, right?
Have you seen
Fitness
your
and
booth?
gaming.
Yeah. No, that is
No.
not us actually.
That's right.
No.
Which one?
What does your company do?
So our company does virtual reality training and gaming mostly.
Training and gaming. Got it. Okay.
And then this is my booth. Or I
Lots
guess-
of places.
well,
Are you looking for
I guess
people to
it's
help
Greg's
you with the
booth,
art assets at
actually.
all? Or for systems or any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we're always looking for help. We actually had a recruiting meetup here last week. So yeah, you have my
Why
email.
didn't you
Let's
invite us?
follow up.
Hey,
I will definitely follow up with you.
We didn't know you back
create,
then. You weren't on our list.
We create one of our big things is we create movement systems,
Mm.
and this I assume is using. You're not using Photon. You're using UNet, I assume.
Yeah, we're using the latest Unity in conjunction with
the
the
DOTS
Entity.
one.
Yeah, yeah, because eventually we want to have like a 5,000 person GDC in here. So
Huh.
yeah.
Cool. Is that
Yeah,
the one
we'll
you
have
were
to
talking
figure
about
out-
earlier, Chris, that we're gonna start looking into?
Yes, I was going to start looking into, but we're all about getting our smooth movement down and all that sort of stuff, and any sort of assets and things. So
Welcome
we'll
to
definitely
Tech.
keep in touch.
Awesome.
I have your email.
Yeah, you have my email. Do you know how to
we can do
screenshot?
stuff?
So screenshot people's
I
emails.
just took a
Welcome,
screen.
everyone.
Perfect,
If you're having
perfect.
trouble accessing the,
Yeah, I think our exhibitors are starting
much.
to get settled, so you might be able to find some
Jeremy,
booth
what was the
station.
button for the keyboard on the desktop?
2 F2 to bring up the name tag.
Okay.
That's awesome. How do you get the
And get some water.
hardware
If you're having
connected, like
trouble
this
accessing the
equipment
keyboard
connected
and
to
you're
the
on
hardware?
desktop mode, you can press
Yeah, exactly.
F2.
So these all
Other
connect. So the only one that doesn't
buttons
connect
will
to
work
the
on
actual
your
computer is
B
going to be
or your
elliptical,
menu
but in
buttons
that
if you
case
don't have
we
a B
just
button.
use the Vive controllers.
And then you can
and they just
remove
kind
the
of
keyboard
attach
and move around a little
Michael.
bit and place it otherwise,
And-
so people
and
aren't in the
handles.
way.
You're there?
And then
Like he's
the
maybe
fourth
he's got
movement
his
is
head
what
down.
makes you
Fine.
go in the actual.
Oh yeah, I have to
Alright.
unmute myself.
Whereas these
Hey
ones,
there.
Oh yeah. How's
Hi,
it going?
Cordelia.
two brands, the concept two.
Cordelia?
What do
they
you guys do?
actually
Hey, hello.
hook up to your computer.
Uh,
We make
actually, a quick
graphics
thing.
devices.
I wanted to introduce you to a couple companies that'll be here in a
Just,
sec
released
that
a
also
month-
do training.
finished our Kickstarter
Embodied
about 2
Labs,
months ago.
they do
$2
healthcare
million
training,
and
ice safety solutions. They do safety training.
So
Um,
the best edge
Yeah. Oh, perfect, perfect. Yeah, yeah. You already know.
What are you doing with?
And we have a few others. Fire safety training is here. Yeah, we have a bunch of training companies. That seems to be a trend right now. Where the market is.
quality audio.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Very well.
Working
The
on
Woot Your
this.
Best will
Yeah, we got a long way to go,
basically
but
Now
we
the conference
got
that
bring
we
you
are.
Hi, welcome to Patat. Thanks a lot for making it and filling in for Marco. Really appreciate it.
Definitely a solid concept because I mean,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you lock
Appreciate it.
Oh, it's really good.
Thank you, thank
Is
you.
that the audio?
So with the schedule,
Thank you.
it's always
we're gonna start the exhibition in about 6 minutes, but a few exhibitors have already started, so we feel free to start networking. We're gonna start the first panel in about 15 minutes, and then after the first panel is your panel. You're the second panel. Yeah.
You're actually in a
Those are the guys.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Brian,
it's
yeah,
definitely- I
what
like
is the belt
the
do?
design. It looks really cool.
They do
Well, I'm sorry,
camping stuff for
yes, we have an
first
SDK.
weekend.
The SDK is actually for
Here
our
in
previous
my
product
book.
that we released
Like
last
and,
year.
and what has
called
not
Mass
been
Pro,
done yet is
and that's
So,
an 8-channel
what are you
resistance
doing,
training.
Sedan?
So that has a full SDK.
Yeah,
I am.
community and
So I'm
real
like
estate.
No,
a
no,
background is in
no. What was the
psychology
second question?
and neuroscience.
burning calories, but
Um,
nothing has been done yet with
and
actual.
I think
Also
Greg had
technology.
mentioned about
Curious
how it
to
works. Cheap
Oh,
science.
yeah.
Check out some of the other booths
Like
too.
the
Hi Andy, welcome.
Chief
Something like
technology
that.
officer.
Glad you can make
thank
it.
you.
We've been
Yes.
working with.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
How did you hear about us? Did you hear about us from Joe Ryle from the Microsoft Reactor?
Like a social
No.
Our competitors
like a
design
sanctuary
health
that
components.
doing
which is a
weights
place
for
where you
Experience?
go
They
for
strap
like
to you.
healing.
Those
in
traditional
between
speaker
the
drivers
Sorry, I
actually
think your
go
mic might be cutting out,
perhaps
like the type
Oh,
where it
1,
tries
2, 1,
to
2?
cut
We have a
background noise. Yeah, I sort of hear you now. Yeah.
That's called an Aussie.
Oh, there you
It's our
go.
own
No,
design.
I've just
We
been
have
looking at,
this
you know,
device. We have
different
6
experiences
Aussies
online
that
and using
access
digital
stereo.
hubs.
Oh.
And Michael
The
actually
audio
told me
implementation
about
of
this. He's like,
VR
hey,
is
check this
cool.
out. Like, you know, you've been doing the research and compiling. Like, you should definitely try to make this one.
Oh, cool.
And just signed up yesterday. Yeah, super exciting. Like, I've never seen a setup like this before using Unity directly.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious. I used to work at Microsoft, so I sort of know what the different orgs are. Which org are you in, if not in the Microsoft Reactor Evangelist org?
Well, Fanny, nice to meet you.
So this is the
Ooh, sorry, I think my audio is cutting out a little bit too. What'd you say? You
Oh.
worked some time at Microsoft?
Yeah. What org are you in?
Daytime, nighttime, and then we
Oh,
have
I'm in
rower,
Altspace
daytime,
VR.
nighttime. We also have
Oh,
I'm
you're in
on the
Allspace.
community
Oh,
support.
welcome. Oh, okay, okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I wish I had
welcome.
Altspace email. to be
Welcome, welcome.
honest. I love it that much.
They're
Yeah.
very close together.
Awesome.
Brian,
Yeah, I'm
thank
a
you.
big fan.
Yeah, of course. If you have any further questions, let me know.
Oh, Michael's
one of the
out over there
forefront.
actually.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
And then I saw Embodied Labs,
know
and then I was like,
Embodied
oh, I'm
Hey,
super excited. She's part of WXR.
How's it going?
I'm also on the WXR team.
Yeah, yeah. Amy and Carrie. Amy from WXR and Carrie from Embodied Labs.
so.
Yeah, I work
Oh, they're gonna be here?
I've been
That's
working with you
awesome.
guys for
Fine,
a
thank
few
you.
months.
Did you really?
Oh, okay, right on. I just started actually.
wow.
Hi,
I just
welcome,
started doing
Roy.
contracting
Email,
work
we
with
can talk about some stuff in the
Virtual
future.
World
I'd be happy
Arcade.
to send you a demo unit
Oh,
and have a
fantastic. What
conversation
what
about
what
that.
kind of work? What type of development are you doing?
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat about it.
Programming, software development. I'm working on the Tempest 84, the project that Portal's Edge 360.
It's just more
Okay.
like
I don't know if I can point
where,
far enough.
where
I
does
just
it
hit a
go
wall in my
to
room.
use it?
So there's. Have you ever heard of Orange Theory?
Where you're pointing there.
Yeah,
the 360
no, I don't think
next
so.
to Rayori.
So there's already.
Right.
And yeah,
membership
it's
base.
it's only been like a week and a half, so I haven't done too
A
much
lot of
yet.
them are high intensity interval training.
Cool.
So
That's awesome though.
You go.
Yeah.
So
nice to meet
what's
you.
your partnership with Virtual Arcade? What exactly do you guys do?
So we have this one here, Sodalic or
What we
Sodalicio.
want to do is have a
Totally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's
Hey.
a virtual sanctuary.
Ideally,
So it's a space where
wouldn't
you can
even
go
have to take off the
to
headset to
do
move
healing
between
in community.
Super
No,
People get together
I
in
was
space
curious
and
as
do
to.
things like
Where we're breaking, where are you? You were, we're basically breaking walls is what we did.
Welcome everybody. So the panel will start in about 15 minutes. In the meantime, we're just networking in the exhibition, but feel free to.
Got it. Thanks.
That's a great
And
thing
we
to
were
have
thinking
in
about doing some sort of weight training.
Oh, you guys, this is the therapy app.
And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, when I met Jeremy, he was demoing you guys' app at a playtest in San Jose.
You guys were at the
Oh
same
yeah,
meetup.
I think I was there.
So the big idea
Oh,
here
okay.
is
Then so
immersive fitness.
maybe we met each other in person.
Maybe we
I
did,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. Good luck.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Steve,
thank
you.
you're
Okay.
a level designer, and I'm just.
Are you
We-
here
we,
with
uh,
my
Exhibition,
booth?
or-
I'm on,
Is there
I'm
like
on
a-
to get
like a
into
Where you
this
at?
this
At my booth,
very
Rayori.
intensive
It's the
Anyone
purple one.
Yeah, so we're just helping people get signed in, and we're doing exhibition networking right now for 15 minutes, and then in 15 minutes we're going to go to the panel and start our first talk. Yeah, so I'm going to start gathering our panelists.
It's
Cool.
good game, yeah. And
She does a lot of breaking.
Card-based game, right?
it's very similar to
I have
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Ryan,
Okay,
Hi,
yeah.
Katie.
Greg,
Yeah, that's the vibe I got from
Hi,
it.
Katie.
Hi.
Yeah.
How's it going?
so Ryan and
Good,
Greg.
good.
There you go.
It's
Hey.
good. I think
So
it's
our panel will start.
Virtually healthy.
Ryan, our panel will start in
is
about
that?
15 minutes. So I'll
Yeah,
come.
so
we'll
we're looking
see
at
if I can
using
come
like
and find you
virtual
guys.
reality games
Oh, did you
for
guys
fitness
break
I'll hang out.
rehabilitation and therapy.
Say
Oh, awesome.
So we're
Are you
currently
guys
doing like
in
a big
early
research
access
project
right now?
looking into like
Is it-
movements.
Oh, we're in early access on Steam.
Early access, that's right.
Yeah.
For, like,
cool,
questionnaire,
great.
I'll have to
motion
check that out.
capture, and story monitoring.
Do it. Yeah. It's
Our panel starts in about
Hey,
15
Jeremy.
minutes. I'll find you, and we'll head over to the panel in about 15 minutes. Yeah, or the first panel.
What time is it?
Sodalicio over
Oh,
here
cool.
in this booth. And
Oh, nice.
over here.
yeah, we're trying to do basically like a virtual sanctuary. So a space where people can go for mental health and wellness and really heal in community.
Thank you.
So we're doing a lot with movement.
Oh.
Yeah, I think.
A lot of
Dan,
movement
Jeremy,
is what we're trying
Do
to
you want to
get
speak on our
people to
panel?
interact in an
We had
intentional
one
way.
person drop out for family reasons.
Where they can develop deep
Do you want to talk about?
You know, I
that,
don't think I have enough
healing happens in
speaking material quite
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
Okay,
I
sure.
don't want to
It's
come
psychology,
unprepared.
mental health,
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, but I
in a
appreciate it.
social context
Thank you.
and like in
Yeah.
way of like doing it
They
with other
disconnect
people.
and they fall off.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea. Nice.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool. Yeah. So
Eva.
do you guys have like a
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Nicole. How's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Good, okay. I'm in.
Welcome.
we're
Glad you can
using,
make it.
like games that are out there at the moment
Great.
for like
What do I look
entertainment
like?
purposes and doing like lots of different.
You look like
we're doing
you
research
haven't
onto
changed
that
your
to
avatar
use
yet.
them,
Oh,
and create,
okay.
like, different
That
VR
sounds good.
exercise
What
programs
kind
using them.
Cool.
So
headset
we've
are
got
you
like
using?
loads of different games like Box VR.
I'm using a
Whip,
Vive.
Vive? For Vive?
Yeah.
On your
like doing
right-
research.
Cool.
Right
That sounds,
controller?
that sounds awesome.
Hear me, right?
top
Are you
menu
a
button?
researcher or
hit that.
The
and you
top
just
which button?
menu.
Yeah, so it's
menu.
just me at the moment.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Okay.
I'm
Sure.
doing
Oh, there we go.
full research at the
And,
moment.
and you
looking
can
into,
select your avatar on the
we're
left
just about to
side
finish
if you like.
data analysis.
Okay.
of that, and then
Welcome
Oh, I
on.
have to find the
Welcome on.
mouse, though. I
a
have
lot
to
of
use that
data
mouse
to
button
create
again.
analyze
Okay.
and create different programs for sort of different purposes for it.
You ever play Yu-Gi-Oh?
Cool. Well, yeah, I'd be super interested.
Your
to hear what you
controller
learned,
should
'cause
work
that sounds-
too.
That's
The-
very relevant to what we're
Did
interested
that work?
in as well.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
pointing your
well,
controller.
we can
Maybe
write paper
try
around
hitting it again.
Oh,
once
yeah?
we've
Yeah, I point the
Uh,
controller
Oh, there you
and
go.
I
Yeah,
hit
that worked.
the left
Oh,
mouse
I've written a
button.
lot of
it
papers
worked,
over
but
the
you're
years,
yeah.
you know.
Try hit one more time.
Time-consuming process.
Card game.
Well, I've got it
Yeah.
mouse
Summon
down.
monsters
I've got the
and battle
Always
each
takes
other.
longer
oh,
than
my
the
controller
original.
should
Yep,
work.
you're good. You're good
Button
now.
on the
You're good.
controller.
That's true
You're
of
good now.
everything.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jeremy.
Cool. Well,
Absolutely.
Italian.
Nice to meet you, though.
yeah, you too.
Yeah, cool.
I just wanted to kind of emulate the name from Yu-Gi-Oh, like to kind of have that similar connection. So, really wanted the Yu-Gi-Oh, like the dashes.
Hey, I think I'm behind you.
So,
Yeah.
Rayori means King of Kings.
Hi.
It's Ryan Origin. I wanted to thank you.
Oh,
for
Ryan. Hi. How are you?
I'm well. I wanted to thank you for introducing me to Catherine Ibister.
Oh, great. Good. I'm glad you guys connected.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I went and spoke at Indie Cave, which I've been going to for years and got to speak at before, so that was really cool. And then
that's cool.
Kept in touch, and now I'm a research project with
What is this? What you working on?
media.
This is a card game,
thanks
a
so
VR
much.
Oh,
That's
cool.
game where you play cards, you have spells and monsters.
Excellent,
and you use
excellent.
the monsters to attack your
And so then
opponent
so what are you
and get
doing
them down
now?
to zero.
Then you're
Hi,
doing
welcome.
work with her and
Mostly PvP.
I can't hear you right now.
Hey, how's it
oh,
going?
can you not hear me?
I can't hear Kita from Minomi right now.
This fitness app here.
Working on the single player mode right now, but it's pretty competitive and tough when you're playing against a good opponent. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Turn them into different.
Oh, did Ryan
Like, what's
crash?
Fiori?
It's Italian for King of Kings.
Nice.
Yeah.
Or you could
That's
be in
pretty
the
sweet.
ocean, like you're kneeling, or So what we want to do eventually is bring it to a membership-based studio.
It's
and
a
have people come pay to
turn-based,
work out per month or per class.
very similar to a card
and
game
they can immerse themselves fully
called
into
Yu-Gi-Oh.
different workout areas.
Like see someone.
What headsets you planning on coming
Can
out?
Ryan still hear me?
We work on everything except for the
Hi, Brendan.
graphics,
Welcome.
unless you have like a core.
How are you doing?
Good. Glad you can make it.
Yeah, everyone is a little bit on board.
We're trying to bring it wider.
Remember me.
Absolutely.
Will be better. This is more
This is
price point.
amazing. This is really cool.
I
Yeah,
don't
thank
know
you.
if
actual
I think we have some people who've tried it with the Go, and you really need motion controllers
For enterprise support.
to play the game. and I
Yeah,
don't
how are
think
things going
Go
on your
does
end?
that, right?
At-
It's just
at
like
the
a
arcade?
one button.
We want to be able to kind of
Going well,
controller,
yeah.
some
I
sort
guess
of support.
you know, being in Idaho, I think helps. A lot of people don't have headsets still.
Hmm.
You guys are
Yeah.
providing the machine also?
Awesome.
Sorry, I want to cut you off.
And I forget, did you guys
So
like what's mainly your business model there in Idaho?
Monthly based membership, or they're gonna come pay for a class, and then they have everything all set up. So they're gonna have their station, which consists of 3 different machines, which would be the elliptical, the rower, and
Having that
the
base kind of branch.
the bike, and that's gonna be your station. So you can switch.
Your mic is cutting off a little bit, like it's trying to cut out background noise.
Instructions, and we have a different workout plan that we're gonna be following. That we had actually developed by one of.
There we are.
There we go.
We have.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Sharon?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
And he kind
Cool.
of put together.
Yeah, I,
Be in your booth.
Yeah, we help a lot of kids with
Greg
autism.
says, but he's not
They come
there
in
yet.
for like therapy sessions.
Yeah, they're gonna
Hey,
be,
Joe,
uh,
what's boring to what's Wuju?
Period. And they come out more relaxed.
Sorry, I'm not with
Yeah.
the food.
Oh, you're not?
Doing
I was just
autism.
Oh, it should be
architecture,
Ryan.
arcades,
Okay.
fun game.
Well, hi, I'm Nicole.
Yeah.
With the fitness machines,
Hey, I'm
you can
Joe.
see
Nice
it
to
Branch
meet
out
you.
and
getting
have
dizzy.
it.
Nice to meet
Oh,
you. What do
interesting.
you do?
How's that branching out been for you so far? Do you find certain areas that seem to have growth opportunity that or seem to be like overtaking the entertainment vertical that you started in?
They're using VR here,
Yeah, so
so they
nothing
don't know what
takes
index
the
is, and
entertainment
now
away.
whether or not Rayori would
But
be
all
there.
the other arcades are
VR2K,
5%
which
arcades
it
are
is.
they are closing right now.
Rayori,
Yeah.
we're not even using
There's
them
a
for
percentage that do stay
for
alive, but
moving
we're
from
gonna
they're
common use
you
on
know, the arcade is like
Still using it
at
though.
an even rate. You know what
Yeah,
comes
that's
in goes
the
out.
thing.
So if we're only doing the arcade, we're only doing the fun and games, we're gonna make exactly what we expect.
Yeah.
So being able to venture into those
Interesting
other
avatars.
avenues and bring that up a
Yeah,
little bit
there's
and make
some
us profit a
asset
little bit more
back
than
there
we would if we just did games. So
Awesome.
definitely help.
Nice,
So it's
yeah.
not as significant as arcades yet. You
Do
know,
you have
we're
an
not,
idea on a
not
subscription
making
price?
$10,000 a month off of
So is it mostly,
reality
are there also
architecture.
like
Right.
individual,
You know,
like,
Right. Not a lot of people are.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but it's
or
pretty
is
close.
it mostly
Okay.
community
A
meeting
little
together,
hard to
or how
grow,
does it work?
so-
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. That's great.
It's both.
Yeah.
So
How are
we
things for
have-
you with all the
Yeah.
That's what I've been working on.
looking at the
So there
games?
are-
Absolutely. We've sort of followed a very similar model as you guys. We've been branching out into a lot of enterprise.
No, that's
Enterprise fitness, therapy, retail advertising, safety training, health, education. That's what we found like pays the bills, and then the games we do, sort of as our passion. And as we've been doing more of these enterprise projects, and we've been looking for more of them, we realized that we get most of our like clients and like connections and networking through like conferences, but it's kind of expensive to like fly everywhere to pay thousands of dollars to do the hotel and everything. So we were wondering like what can we do to like go to more conferences and also hold more conferences so that we can as developers get more work. And that's sort of how the virtual conference idea came about. So we're like wondering, okay, what if we like hold it in VR? It's much cheaper to attend and to host. We organized this in 3 weeks. So the lead time to our typical VR Arcade conference took us 5 to 6 months to organize, whereas this took us 3 weeks. So this is sort of what we're testing out. And if it helps us as developers, then it should help every other developer out there. And in fact, not even just VR, but like think auto industry or oil and gas industry or arts shows or and so on. So
well, yeah, I'm interested in all these things right here. I mean, I have
and a Go and Daydream and yeah. Almost all of them. Mixed reality.
I can find all this on the website.
Yeah, are you looking for content? If you're looking for, feel free to shoot me an email. And yeah.
And what
let me
the training program.
Well, lucky for you. So there's us who works on like the development part of it. So Dalek is actually right over there, which is the therapy project that we're working on. So they're like the PhD scientists and the designers of and the science part of it. The fitness is TriArt Fitness over there. So they are like the personal trainers, and they design the workout curriculums in VR. It's TriArt at the end, and Ice Safety is right over there 2 booths down, and they traditionally send physical firefighters out to do training, and they're trying to use VR to scale that out, to send headsets out, so they don't have to have their team of 15, be flown everywhere all the time. So the more you can learn around here.
How do you feel about the idea of where's virtual help exactly? Is this something
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Or seeing you again. Yeah.
Awesome. Is this your first round, right? With the virtual conference meetup, right?
Yeah, this is the first big conference. We've been holding a bunch of meetups in VR. Last week we did a dev recruiting meetup here. And yeah, definitely learning a lot with every. We didn't have this many people though last week, so
People start joining.
I can hear now.
Yeah, learning a lot from this every second. So, yeah, thanks a lot for coming. The panels I think will start in about 5 minutes. Yeah, we're about 5 minutes to the panels. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Hi, welcome to the conference.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't see your name tag. So what headset are you using?
Riori, am I pronouncing that correct? Just because let me come back.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. You could do your name tag. I just need to know what headset you're using.
This stuff is really important.
No, I can hear you now. I can hear it now.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Do you see the keyboard over there, or you came in? You can sign in.
I'm using Quest.
Oh, you're using Quest. Perfect. So for Quest, on your right hand,
yeah,
there should be a button. It's like an A or B button.
We're on Steam.
Like one of the circular buttons.
Because I need to relog because.
Can you hear my voice? Is it?
Oh, no.
Yeah, and if you see the keyboard, then you can type in there. You can click on the first the name and email field to type it in, and then hit accept when you're done.
I'm not sure if this.
Yeah, sorry, because I have to log off.
Okay, sure. Yeah, do what you gotta do.
I'm Joe.
We're all gonna look for aim.
Hi Pam, welcome. So glad you can make it.
We have an
Hi. Yes, so glad you can make it. I hear you.
The best gameplay is when you're playing against someone
Yeah.
else.
Oh my god.
It's a little tricky to hear voices, but I can.
Okay. If there's a way for your microphone, or for you to be closer to your microphone, or for you to speak louder, that might help, I think, in the panels. Because it sounds like you're in a big room right now. Okay. Yeah, if there's any way you could like maybe sit closer to the microphone. But otherwise, yeah, thank you for coming. Our panel starts in about 3 minutes. I'm actually gathering all the panelists now to head over to the panel.
Next month. So, you know, people can join in a space like this and work together.
Oh, sorry, were you talking to me again?
Yeah, I hear a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that's everybody else right now. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot of people today.
But we have a Masterpiece Studio, which is our major professional upgrade to it. And that will
Is
be
your
a
internet
collaboration.
having issues? Because it feels like your internet is either that, the amount of
Through our website.
You
can
can
run in the background or things that you do together with other people.
I can hear Bitwise.
Check it out if you like. You can try it for free.
I guess just start panel.
I would say try to free up your internet as much as possible.
And is yours custom experiences or are you available?
What's VW?
Yeah, you guys are in, Pam.
VWA is Virtual World Arcade, which is the company for the entire event.
Oh my god.
So this is the booth here, and you guys progress. And Greg is my co-founder here,
Yeah, I was thinking.
and we're working on, you know, a bunch of different experiences in social space
Did you say
to
something?
help people, you know, make real connections with
weird.
others in
Okay.
virtual
Pam,
reality.
are you able to move around right now?
Playing with that stuff.
With the WASD keys?
Internet is a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna lead you to the panel room now, so we're gonna head over to the panel. So just follow
out
me.
right now that I can try.
Hello.
You can try it. It's not available for commercial release. It's like a
And then
free
you can
alpha
use your
thing.
mouse to turn
If you're interested,
your
I'll
head.
definitely.
If you,
out
yeah, there you go.
some
Yep,
trial.
that's it. Yep. So you can just follow me. We're gonna head over to the
Yes,
panel
it's
now.
like definitely in the like early stages, but
Extremely
we
unhappy
have
with
a
these gendered
concept we can show you
avatars
that stuff.
putting me in
So if
pins
you're interested,
because
let me
I
know.
have
All right. Hey Ryan, we're gonna gather the panelists to go to the panel now. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and it's just so
I had an
crazy with
audio
all the
issue, but I
conferences
fixed it.
getting
So
canceled.
Awesome. Yeah, just in time.
How about you?
All right, we're starting to get our panelists together. Panel. Hey, Carrie. Oh, so glad you can make it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Tom, but I'm moving Carrie around, and she will be just a second.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, feel free to take a seat. Greg is right now talking to somebody. I'm just gonna see if I can pull him out and bring him to the couches. So yeah, we'll just sit tight here. We're gonna get started in like 60 seconds.
Yeah, they've got.
Congratulations on the.
I'm getting the same thing in this as in Rare.
Oh, sorry?
My hand
Is the market
like,
good, John?
if I was here, my hands were
Doing good.
I have interrupted you.
Nice to see you again at another AR conference, huh?
Is that
like this much of an offer.
Hey, Wyatt?
kinda.
Thank you.
Did you
the
Wyatt,
index?
did you see Greg?
Yeah, it was fun.
Or
I've seen
did he
Greg.
did he go to the panel?
El Cerrito.
Feeling myself.
He might have gone to the panel while I was coming back to get him. If you see him again, can you actually?
Oh, okay.
Hey, Wyatt, is do we have another VWA person here? Yes, Greg should be going to the panel now.
Okay, I'll get him. He's I
Awesome.
think he just went to get a snack.
Oh, he's disconnected.
All right, yeah, the panel will be starting in 30 seconds. Wyatt, would you be able to be our runner and just walk through? And Dylan as well. If you guys could walk through the networking areas and exhibition and just let people know that the panel's starting. We don't have to force them to come. They can keep doing their conversations, but just make sure they know. Yeah, so just let people know that they're at the panel.
Being in the conference area, or
In the panel area, and with the couches and the stage, yeah, that way, yeah. And they can keep doing what they're doing if they wish, but just wanted to inform them, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's no spatializing on the audio, so I can hear you folks, and I can also hear what's happening in the other room. And left or right, it's hard to say.
Panel starting.
Oh god. Are you sure please let this not be the future?
Yeah, it's definitely audible. I can absolutely hear what you're saying. It just sounds a little far away now, but it's better than it was.
Hey,
so I think
Jeremy.
we can get away with that, I think.
Would you like to change your avatar, or are you okay?
Oh,
I'm a man, aren't I?
Do you what headset are you using?
I have a Quest.
Quest. So on the Quest, with your right hand,
Mhm.
one of the circular buttons, like an A or B button, once you press that button, the keyboard should pop up again.
Got it.
And then on the left
Oh.
side, there should be a selection if you'd like to change your avatar. And I'll let you know when. Yep, you're changed. Yep, you're changed.
Cool. All right.
Did Ryan?
How's it going?
Hey, so Jeremy, I think there's a bug for me that crashes all the avatars when certain changes happen, so I have to relog in. Because as soon as she switched avatars, the whole screen froze for me.
I see. I see. Okay.
So I'm gonna reload.
Sorry, Ryan.
Okay.
Oh, it's not your
Yeah,
fault.
we'll-
It's fine.
Yeah.
That when you
I'll
turn
be right back.
around,
Yep.
you're
Thanks, Ryan.
You're like on your tiptoes or something.
Interesting. I have to ask Ryan what headset he's using afterwards.
I'm on a Vive.
Oh, on a Vive.
On a VR computer with like a 980 Ti.
Okay. All right. I'll see you in a bit. Yep.
Yep.
Sometimes.
I guess I'll start with open remarks.
Found my emojis.
Oh, where are they?
Mouse.
Of my octopus love heart.
Test. Okay. All right. Welcome everybody to our first VR investment conference in VR. Thank you everybody for making it. To our we have our panels, exhibition, and we also have our networking sessions. Our schedule for today, we're going to have our enterprise and entertainment market panel first, for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to have a Speak with the Speakers networking session. And then after that, we're going to have our VR investment panel, and then after that, we'll have another networking session. And then after that, exhibition's open for everybody for networking. We have all the booths there and all exhibitors here. But for, once again, thank you all for coming. This is the way this came about. So I'm Jeremy, first of all, from Virtual World Arcade, founder and CEO of Virtual World Arcade. We do content development, and how we arrived here is we realized that we get a lot of our content development projects and clients from conferences.
Hold on.
Maybe you could try to move a little bit closer. Yeah, we understand that that might be a.
We hear a lot of people talking.
I did. Yes, it's over. They're over there.
So
And,
basically, you know, how do we make conferences less lower cost, more time saving, or more time efficient, and easier to get to? So that's sort of how the virtual conference idea came about. We've been doing meetups in VR for the past few months, and sort of been ramping up to this investment conference. This app that you guys are using now, our dev team from Virtual World Arcade has been working on for the past 2.5 weeks. So definitely a lot more features, a lot more feedback that we need, and a lot of learning that we have to do to make this more successful in the future. But we are planning the next conference to be our coronavirus and climate change conference on Earth Day, April 22nd. So if you're interested in participating in that, feel free to email us. All right, so we're gonna, without further ado, we have all our panelists here. We're gonna go ahead and start with our panel. I'll be moderating the panel, and I'll go ahead and just do a quick rundown of the panelists so we could do a brief intro. So I'll start one more time. Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy Lamb. I'm the founder and CEO of Virtual World Arcade, and we create VR content. And we're also working on this virtual conference in VR concept project. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Origin, and I'm head of interactive at Woojer. We make wearable haptic devices, and if you have any questions about how that would fit into VR, hopefully you'll learn more about that on the panel. And Jeremy, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, this is Greg Rufo. I'm CEO of Sodalicio. We're doing experiences in community for well-being. And thanks, Jeremy. Thank you very much. This is awesome.
Yeah. And Pam?
Hi, my name is Pam. I'm President CEO of In Case of Emergency, and we make sure people don't die. And we do a lot of the training using virtual reality, things like CPR training, active shooter, anything where someone could die.
And Carrie?
Hey everybody, my name is Carrie Shaw. I'm the CEO and founder of Embodied Labs. Embodied Labs is an immersive training platform for caregivers. We currently serve senior living, home care, hospice, and academic institutions that are training caregivers going into work with older adults through embodying and practicing both the perspective of the person they care for and then their own role as a caregiver in a blended video and game environment.
Thank you, everybody. Now, our audience today consists of a lot of, I think each audience member would see a little piece of themselves in each one of our panelists here, whether they work in entertainment, games, or whether they work on hardware, or whether they work on enterprise solutions, training, and other fitness, health, any other enterprise verticals. So what I want to ask you all first is, what has your market in your sector, whether it's entertainment, enterprise, how has your market been for the past few years, and what has your working business model been for our entrepreneurs and our investors out there? We can go down the line again. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Ryan again. We have been making wearable haptic audio devices for about 6 years. The first product, I believe, was kickstarted, I want to say like 2013, 2014. That was before my time at the company. So our products take, for those of you who are not familiar with haptic devices, you all have haptic devices in your pockets, right? So any of your cell phones or video game controllers, those are basic haptic devices. But we make our vibro tactile haptic devices. So what that means, it takes audio streams and it converts that into vibration that goes through your body. Now, as you can imagine, anything then that has a decent audio soundtrack and good audio implementation would benefit from the integration of this kind of device. So for us, VR, where immersion and presence is one of the most important factors, engaging the sense of touch using the audio that's already there allows people to become much more connected to the thing that they're experiencing, be it a training protocol or a video game or a movie or whatever it is. So as video games have obviously remained extremely popular over the years, and VR has ramped up significantly over the last 6 years. So with the advent and popularity of things like Oculus Quest, we have seen our Kickstarter, for example. Last year's Kickstarter was $200,000. This year's Kickstarter was $2 million. So we had a 10x growth over our Kickstarter of the last year. So if that's any indication as to the what people are looking for in our products.
And a quick follow-up question, what part of the market would you say contributes to the most of your sales? Is it entertainment? Is it...
That's an interesting question. So it's a tricky one, right? So we need to do better research on our side, but our products are sort of universal that way. So we get an interesting web of mix, right? So for example, some person might be super into their Oculus Quest, but then play a lot of Xbox One, but then also work out. So really, people sort of take our products and put them into their lives the way that they see fit. So everybody's kind of got their own mix, but the general theme is now VR users and gamers. But it's surprising the number of aspects of ways that people integrate our products into their lives.
I see.
So
Thank you, Ryan.
It's more diverse than you would expect.
Okay. Greg, what about your business model and the market that you're targeting? What does that look like?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Jeremy, we're looking for direct-to-consumer. We're pre-product, as you know, but we're pre-product. We're direct-to-consumer in the mental wellness space. And we see the market as emerging. We're long-term very bullish on this market. The number of consumers who are interested in our product, which is, as mentioned, it's a membership subscription service, is something that we imagine to grow over time. As we've seen great growth with the Oculus Quest, we see extended reality being the major media consumer device, and we're looking at riding that wave but it's definitely a emerging market for us.
So targeting consumers in the mental wellness space, yeah. And Pam, you're special on this panel because you don't come from VR, but you come from safety training. Could you explain a little bit for us what your market was pre-VR and your business model was pre-VR, and now how has that changed with VR?
Yeah, so for the past 20 years, we've been conducting things like CPR training, first aid, disaster preparedness. for enterprise customers across the U.S. And one of the challenges is have been flying my instructors around the U.S., flying them to New Jersey, Atlanta, D.C., and then here in California. And so I needed to disrupt my own industry for my enterprise customers in order to kind of cut down a lot of the travel. In addition to that, if you've ever taken a CPR class or any type of safety training, they're pretty long. And what we've been able to do using virtual reality is, one, now we only have to get the headset to the client, but two, instead of a 4-hour CPR class, it becomes a 2-hour CPR class, or even some trainings that are an hour are now cut down to 20 minutes. And we give the user far more control because now they're in the headset, they can replay a section, do another section, but we don't have to have 20 people come into a room and have death by PowerPoint. So we're generally saving a lot more lives by using virtual reality for our enterprise clients in the safety world.
Scalability seems to be one of the biggest things. Yeah, absolutely. And what about, Carrie, your business model and the market that you're targeting? What does that look like?
Yeah, Embodied Labs got started 4 years ago, and we put our first training products on the market in 2018. We've always sold B2B to primarily these senior living aging care organizations, as I mentioned. We charge, right now we actually sell hardware and software bundled together. And so if a customer doesn't have an immersive hardware kit, we provide that for them. And then they subscribe in an annual subscription to Embodied Labs on top of that. Prices range, depending on the size of the organization, between $4 and $8-10 a person a month per year. So yeah, we've primarily really focused on growing this subscription-based B2B enterprise SaaS model.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. And at this point, we're going to start doing panels a little differently than you would normally see in real life. We want to make this more interactive. Now that we have an idea of where each of our panelists are from, companies and the business models, I'd like to open up for people to start making a line for Q&A in between our questions. So if you have a question, you can feel free to line up in the corner and we'll get to your question as we go through our questions on the panel, so we don't have to do them all at the end. So you're welcome to line up now if you have questions. So the next question for our panelists from our moderator is, so what does the future look like for your company? Where do you see your market headed? Where do you see your company headed? And are you currently seeking investment to take you there? The future. What does the future look like? We could start with Ryan if he's still here.
Cool, I am still here.
Yeah.
Just FYI, I may be in a weird position because my avatars aren't updating, but it seems like the audio is working. So no, it's fine, totally fine. Thanks again for having us. So where does our market, where do I see things going for us? Well, as I mentioned before, we've seen 10x growth in our Kickstarter in 1 year, right? We went from a $2,500 Kickstarter to almost $2 million Kickstarter from 2018 to 2019. So what does that tell us? That tells us that people are extremely interested in augmenting entertainment experiences, right? I should also add that thanks to Catherine, who's here, thanks Catherine, wherever you are, we are beginning trials soon to show that our product allows esports professionals to play at a measurably higher level, right? So the goal that we're going after is, can we show that our products allow the best esports athletes to raise their skill ceiling? And we believe that with the focus on people and home entertainment, that we think is going to be an obvious change in the next year or two due to political, socioeconomic, and global forces, and the rise of esports in the culture. For example, I don't know if anyone is aware of that in the room, but last year, $298 million in esports cash prizes were given. That is not a small market. So as things progress, we believe that, to kind of recap, we believe that people will become much more home focused and much more entertainment focused in the coming years. And we can show that our growth curve points to that, right? A 10x growth curve in 1 year. As far as investment, we did get a great Kickstarter rolling, but we are always looking for investment to help enhance and develop new products and get our technology out to the world. I should add that for investment purposes, we have a complete patent portfolio outside of just the products that we make, but the products that the wearable consumer products that we make contain haptic devices that are part of our haptic portfolio and are unique to the world and extremely well suited for haptics. So if anyone's interested in talking more about this, please find me and I'd be happy to address.
Thank you, Ryan. And what about Greg? Where do you see the future of your market and your company and investment?
So we see the market evolving over the next 3 to 5 years, and we see right now with the focus groups that we've conducted, we see tremendous hunger for the form of connection that we're talking about providing. That there's that this could not be happening at a better time, really. This sort of your conference here, because of obviously what's going on in the country and the world right now. And we see this need for people to be able to come together in a place where they can be themselves, where they can get support, where they can get a sense of belonging that is sort of the antithesis to the polarized, divisive, rivalrous world that they face day to day. So see tremendous growth over the next 3 to 5 years as more and more people get familiar with it.
And are you currently seeking investment for your project?
Yeah, we're currently seeking investment to bring our team together as we're working on various projects with collaborators.
Okay, thank you. And what about Pam? Where do you see the future of your market, and are you seeking investment?
Right. So where we see safety, for example, what we're going through right now with the pandemic, is clients need additional ways to train to allow users to not always be face-to-face, to give them the experience that they need. So really what our goal is we self-funded. We were unable to seek any venture capital funding. So we went ahead and self-funded it at $100,000 in 2018. In 2019, we were able to sell $117,000. So just in 2019, we were able to sell that much by ourselves. What's really interesting is when I look at the revenue data for 2020, in 2 months, we've already sold $100,000. So what we were able to do in a whole year, last year, we just accomplished in 2 months. So right there, that definitely shows you that enterprise clients are buying it. And our goal right now is for 2020 is to sell 500,000. We have clients using the VR, and our clients include SoftBank, Oracle, and Twitter. And our goal is if we can get to 500,000 by the end of 2020, then we're going to go out and seek VC funding, because now we can show true traction. And hopefully that would be really enticing to a VC.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam. And what about Carrie, the future of your market, your company, and are you seeking investment right now?
Yeah, so Embodied Labs is really serving this need in aging care right now, where we know that our fastest growing demographic is older adults, the 65 and up. 10,000 of them enter this age bracket a day. It's growing faster than ever before in history. And at the same time, that group has specific needs when it comes to healthcare and training. There's an opportunity there for wellness and therapy for older adults themselves. And so where Embodied Labs has really started is in just specifically a training platform focused on the care professional that is taking care of an older adult in a healthcare setting. We also have, in our first year, really focused more on senior living and home care as a go-to-market, product market fit, proof of concept. We went from 10 customers in 2018 to 110 unique customers across multi-site organizations that now we've installs across about 160 different distinct communities. And then we also saw this growth where municipal governments have started using embodied labs to train departments of adult protective services. We've seen that enterprises that serve older adults, both in the insurance side and a product, a company called Great Call that was acquired by Best Buy specifically for their senior care products market, uses us to train their call center employees. And so there's really this opportunity to scale both the kind of X and Z axis, or on two axes, to offer depth and breadth in terms of how a product could serve older adults and the caregivers, as well as serve enterprise in training for this market. And then 6 in 10 people are informal caregivers. We've got about 45 million informal caregivers in the U.S. that, in addition, I mean, I'm sure in this room, if anyone raised their hand, is anyone caring for a spouse, older adult, or a child that falls into this informal caregiving group? Any show of hands? I don't know, we might be a little self-selected here, but 6 in 10 people in the workplace are doing that. And so there's this opportunity for an employee benefit of wellness and training with the product we have today, and then even some of these wellness products that we see emerging. So I think there's just this great opportunity for healthcare infrastructure, maybe not in the typical sense of healthcare that Immersive will basically create market value for, and then we're all here kind of falling into where that value creation is serving. In terms of investment, we started out in 2016 with just a little bit of pre-seed, we did an accelerator, we took in some prize money here and there, kept things low burn. We, over a couple of years, got just at about $600,000 of pre-seed investment and won the Bill and Melinda Gates XR and Education Prize Challenge, a Department of Ed Challenge, a couple of AARP caregiving things. And so we've really taken non-dilutive as a way to get started. And then actually January 15th of this year, we announced the close of our seed round, where we have 5 firms across Senior Care Strategic, Immersive Tech, the Venture Reality Fund, the Women in XR Fund in that space, and then in impact investing for workforce and health education, where we raised $3.2 million and closed our first equity financing round.
Awesome. Yeah, and congrats on the closing your seed round. Yeah.
Thank you. Just in time, right?
Yeah, just yeah. So I want to take 60 seconds to sort of answer that question for ourselves, our company, Virtual World Arcade. Yes, we are seeking investment and to network with investors, and we're looking for advisors, specifically for this conference and VR platform. We want to be able to host more conferences, and we want to be able to build out this conference platform for more clients and more organizers, so that they can organize their conference in VR as well, and help support them with our service, with our knowledge of how to design a conference in VR that we've learned, and also technical help with the platform as well. So that's sort of where we're headed. We believe that everybody, not just us VR developers and VR people, use conferences in VR. Everybody, enterprise, every vertical uses conferences, whether it's an auto show or oil and gas industry or film and arts or science and education. Like I said, next month we'll be hosting the Coronavirus and Climate Change Conference. That's not VR people. So we see a lot of growth opportunity. We see an existing business model that already works. Similar to what Pam said, with taking an existing business model and scaling it up. That's exactly what we plan on doing with this conference. So we're seeking investment and partners to work with us on that. So with that, I'd like to keep our panel.
This is Pam. Can I jump in on your comment
Sure.
about scalability?
Yeah.
So I think what's really important is kind of what's actually happening is the scalability of VR. Like, I'm actually in this avatar in this room, but I'm on a PC. So as we all think about scaling, we still have to create a 360 immersive way to allow enterprise clients to not always get into a headset. So what I really appreciate about this app and this media is some of us are on the Rift, some are on the Quest, some are on the PC. And I think that is extremely important as we scale into, like you said, oil and gas and some of these traditional companies where they're not able to get a headset on every unique individual.
Thank you for that, Pam. And actually, this will work on the Go, Oculus Go, next month in April. So, yeah. So with that, I'd like to conclude our panel and move on to our Speak with the Speakers networking session. One of the things we learned is networking is highly, highly effective in VR. Instead of having us talk for all day, we're going to have you guys come up now that you know who's who. Let's break out. I'm going to ask the panelists to move over to this white area so we can set up the next panel, but we can break out into our networking breakout and speak with whoever you wish to speak with. Pick their brains. These are the area experts. These folks have the experience in their fields in mental wellness in VR, in training, in healthcare training, safety training, in hardware, in entertainment. And development. So yeah, we're going to open up this up to networking breakout, and then we're going to start the next panel in about 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Jeremy, I'm going to restart, and where should I go when I restart?
You're free to go. You could do networking. You could go back to your exhibition booth. Oh, and I also want to say everybody on the panel right now has an exhibition booth. So when the exhibition opens again later after the panels, you can go see each and every one of them at their booth with their marketing assets. Thank you.
Great. I'm going to restart. Thanks, everybody.
Cool. Thank you. Hi, Tiptat.
Hey.
So you'll be up in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Tiptat. Yep. I'm going to gather the other speakers.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey. Hey, Slim. How's it going?
Hey, Greg.
Oh, well, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you.
What's your platform like at the moment?
So, what are you guys working on?
We also have more quiet networking space upstairs and out there if this room starts getting crowded.
We've got a number of experiments
in general.
Working on
in general.
Putting together into the overall thing.
Oh, you were for me? It's Dylan.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. He's doing like research.
Yeah, it's like we were just talking about it yesterday or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Hi, Maddie.
Did you just get here?
Good. Yeah, I did. I had some issues.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, this is Maddie Calendar.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Your panel will be starting in about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm walking around to gather our panelists to sit on the couches. So feel free to head on over when you're ready. Thank you, Kat. Would you like to change your avatar before you head on?
Where are you?
No, I'm okay.
You're okay?
I was gonna ask.
Ending of kind of like conversation.
Where?
Hey, Robin.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh, I was gonna add boost on it, but I forgot.
Yeah, you're welcome to do that anytime. Do you know how to do that?
No.
Okay, what headset are you using?
I'm in a Vive.
Vive. Okay, so on the Vive, we want to take our right hand, and then on the top of the right controller, there's a circular menu button on the top of the right controller, and then once it pops up, you'll know what to do. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll see you on the panel in about 5 minutes.
So it's a platform that brings people together to develop real connections in virtual space.
There's a sweet spot for sure.
So we have a bunch of different activities in there.
Hello, Jeremy to walkie-talkie. Jeremy to walkie-talkie.
Hi.
Hi. We need to gather our investors to the panel. If somebody is capable of writing it down, our people we want to gather are Ryan Wang, Amy Lemaire, which I think she sent us an email. Not Marco, but Tippitat. I already told Tippitat. Maddie, I already talked to Maddie. Yeah, that's it. All right, I'm gonna hop off now because you're on stream. Or I'm gonna deafen. Actually, no, I'll just mute. Get some water. Hi, Pam. Thanks so much. Yeah, that was a great panel. Thank you for speaking. I think you had a very compelling talk up there.
What are you working on?
So you were one of the speakers on the panel.
Hi, Pam. I was saying thank you all for speaking. I think you had a very compelling talk, and you as well, Wine. Sorry about the weird avatar glitches.
It's fine. Audio works. It's all that matters.
You were the invisible one. Okay.
Oh, I was invisible.
That was for fun.
Too funny. Well, thanks, Jeremy.
We'll be starting our next panel in a few seconds.
So I was just
Over here. I don't know if
looking
you
at
can-
some of these screenshots before because Joe, he walked up to me
You hear me?
before,
Dan, who's a mob
introduced
boss,
himself.
did
So,
all the
That was for the next month?
yeah, I was talking to Joe earlier.
Got, like, got away with that one.
Yeah,
but,
we're just in the process of
heading toward lockdown now.
once it's
Couple
done.
of
We're working
clients
on
have moved
a
off
technology
of
innovation
one of the
for
immediately
in the Bay Area.
and
We
the
already
reason
got
why I'm
the-
actually here today
I'm like, you know,
is a
that's
really
a long
long
way to go.
Oh, really?
Hey, Jeremy to walkie-talkie. Jeremy to walkie-talkie. Can we inform people? Why it's deafened? Can we inform people that the next panel is starting? Thank you. Hi, Jeremy to walkie-talkie. Jeremy to walkie-talkie. Can we inform people that the next panel is starting? Thank you.
Jeremy. Yeah. And then you'll see one that says like Tennessee Jeremy. That's our test area.
Yeah, I mean, the only
You'll be
okay.
okay.
Good, good. I'm about to start the next panel.
William.
So,
Okay, go ahead. Good, so.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out next time I'm.
One of the things we wanted to do was
The actual email address is
why
working.
can
We
you
actually didn't
inform
put the
people
website up
that the next panel
or
is
the
starting?
Bean site because
No, runner.
been keeping everything on the NDA for a while now. We just now we filed a trademark already.
Thanks. I didn't have anything to do with actually making it. I just joined the team, but I'll pass the word along.
Right.
We're gonna go ahead and start the next panel. Starting the next panel.
A lot of innovation right now,
Mhm.
and Jeremy's great.
We're gonna go ahead and start the next panel, folks. All right. So, may I invite Tipitat and Maddie on stage, please?
I guess we're starting this thing now.
We'll
talk more.
And I was actually Richard with this
that are about the same level, you know, problem.
How do I adjust this so I'm sitting here?
Annie, you've cut out almost entirely now, so I'm afraid your headset or something.
Hi, Maddie.
There's an audio problem.
and Unity, and they've got.
No, it's
Maddie might be getting some water or something.
Got it. All right. Well, it's nice talking to you. It's nice talking
Hi
to
there,
you.
I'm Ryan. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Ryan.
I think
Nice to meet you. How are you?
I wanted to see if I could send you a piece of hardware to check out, no strings attached.
Sure.
The easiest way to do this would maybe be you to send me an email to my email address. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Awesome. Just shoot me your address when you get a chance, and I'll send you a device. And all I ask is that you tell me what you think.
Okay, yeah, happy to do it.
Awesome. How do you pronounce your name correctly?
Tipitat.
Tipitat. Okay, awesome. Very nice to meet you. Thanks a lot.
Very nice to meet you too, Ryan. And yeah, I've heard good things. I've been meaning to check it out.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let me send you one.
I'm gonna take my seat.
The Tone of Silence from some really old television show.
Moving to Unity.
Yeah, let's put that on our wish list.
I can't hear you now. I already have a great idea.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his
Cool, yeah, congrats.
I actually don't know. Looks like. Oh, it's Tipitat, so, you know, there you go. Yeah.
Cool. So I think it might just be us for now. So we can sort of get cozy. Tipitat, would you like to move a little closer, maybe, if you like?
Okay,
Cool.
sure.
Thank you.
Now I know why you didn't know you could the wall. Huh.
Cool.
It's that social isolation. It's been baked into me. You know, 6 feet
I understand. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. Yeah. You won't get corona in here. Okay. All right. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for our second and last panel. This is our VR investment panel, and I'd like to welcome to the stage Tipitat from the VR Fund and Maddie Callender from Boost VC. And thank you again for joining us for this panel. We're going to go ahead and, similar to last time, we're going to start with some brief intros and just wanted to learn a little bit more about each of your companies. So first question is, could you describe your fund, your accelerator, your investment firm, and what your current portfolio looks like, and what is the strategy around your current portfolio? We can start with Maddie, yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Maddie Callender. I am VP of Accelerator and Portfolio at Boost VC. We are an accelerator and investment fund making sci-fi a reality focused on the future of technology. Sorry, I don't know what I just did. And we invest $500K in emerging technology startups, including a lot of virtual reality companies, through our accelerator program that we run twice a year. And we invest in 10 companies during each accelerator. We have been investing in VR since 2015 and have a large portfolio of really awesome VR companies that I actively work with and support on a regular basis. So that's sort of where my world is on the portfolio support and accelerator side of the investing world.
Thank you. Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Tipatat Chanavasan. I am general partner, co-founder of the Venture Reality Fund. We are a $50 million VC fund investing in early stage VR, AR, AI. Our general belief is that VR, AR is the future of computing, and we're looking for companies that are going to help kind of drive that or accelerate the adoption of VR and AR. And that's kind of what we do. We've done 36 investments so far. Our check sizes range from $300K to $1 million. Primarily seed Series A. We've probably done about, I think, 60% enterprise, 40% consumer. And some of our investments include companies like Embodied Labs, which you heard talk earlier, but also some of the hit VR games that people play, like Beat Saber, Rec Room, and Job Simulator.
Awesome. And now, similar to the last panel, if you have questions, we would like to have you line up over there in the corner so I can see you. We're going to intersperse audience Q&A because we want the audience to drive our questions, and I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions to ask these folks. Actually, we'll go ahead and start with our first question from Joe. Go ahead. You can come up on stage to ask a question.
Okay, cool. Hi, guys. So I guess my question is, when you're looking to invest in like an early stage VR company, what are some of the proof points that you're looking for to say, hey, this is a company we feel like we can invest in?
Great question. Thank you, Joe. Who wants to take that? And you guys can discuss as well.
Sure. Tipatat, you can kick it off.
Okay. So primarily we'll look at, why are you using VR, AR? Is this the right technology to solve this problem? Then is the problem opportunity big enough? And then are you the right team to actually solve this or address this problem and execute on the vision? And also too, we're looking for kind of proof point traction. So definitely, MVPs. We wouldn't fund any project that's just a PowerPoint. Like, we want to see something that shows that you can actually build the product, or at least an early stage example of the product. And oftentimes too, we'll look for examples of, are you actually talking to the right customers? Have you proved out some of your theories or hypotheses with the right customers to say this is the right way to, the right way to sell this or approach this? Trying to think what else is there. I mean, I think that's the general sense in a nutshell. But honestly, too, I think one of the things that's interesting is it's kind of changed from when we first started. Before there was a VR market, before there were headsets in the wild, we had to take much more leaps of faith. But now, because there's all the, VR headsets are pretty common now. There's a lot of people, like Carrie mentioned, you can find non-dilutive funding to at least get you past the first couple hurdles, or now clients, customers actually are interested in VR projects, so they're actively funding VR projects. So there's that opportunity to say, okay, you've been working with a customer, they're interested, you're almost done with the pilot, they're about to go bigger. Now you need support to actually grow your company to support a bigger rollout. That's the opportunity to talk to VCs.
Yeah, and I would just add, in seconding Tipatat's answer, VR is not necessarily the answer to all of the world's problems, but I think there are some really critical problems that VR solves really, really well. And also, you don't have to be in VR the entire time to have a product to make it really viable. So I think it's also looking at, what problem does VR solve in a greater scheme of like a product, and how can you leverage VR for the most value, and at this point, kind of in the least amount of time. So VR is still early. We're still fixing a lot of pieces of it. So how can we make, your 15 minutes to 2 hours in VR the most valuable time for any potential user, consumer, or enterprise?
Thank you, and thank you for the question.
If I was also just to add one more thing too. If I was to rank things, I mean, I feel like the demo has to be just huge. Like I feel like there's so many people that get caught up on trying to make the pitch deck great or perfect and this and that. I'm like, no, your demo has to be amazing, and if it has to show me the potential or how easy it is to do, or like how this could be a huge opportunity. Like I feel like I've done so many where people, telling me this great story, amazing team backgrounds, and then the demo is just garbage, and I'm just like, man, like what are you doing? Like, focus on the demo, because that's going to be the most important thing when you're pitching someone about what you're trying to do.
I'd actually like to do a follow-up question on the demo. So sometimes the reason why the demo might be garbage might be there's a disconnect between what the developers think is ready for investors and what the investors expect, having seen everybody's demos. Is there any advice you can give folks with demos and pitching with demos, how to get there, or how to check their understanding?
Yeah, I think a lot of times too, people try to do too much, and instead focus on like one little thing. For game devs, they often call it like a vertical slice, but like don't try to show all of like. I feel like so many people are like, oh, we have 12 features and they're all half-assed. If you just done one feature and made it look and made it feel very very good, very well done, very polished, I think that would again say, okay, this is our understanding of what the park needs, or where this has to go. I mean, the other way to think about it too is to say, like, when we see a lot of these, or I guess another way to think about it is saying, okay, well, how can we leverage what else exists to prove our hypothesis, right? And so I feel like a lot of people are saying, okay, we have to build we're building everything from scratch, or in Unity from scratch. But it's like, okay, well, if you just want to prove out, you're a social, organization, you want to do, I don't know, workouts in VR. You don't have to build out your own metaverse application. You can just use one of the existing ones and build in VR chat fitness group and show that, hey, there's a bunch of people that like to work out in VR, and this is the way that we can prove it really quickly, right? Like you don't have to build everything. So leverage the fact that there's existing platforms, existing tools that other people have, invested in this stuff, and then just say, hey, can we at least, not the final product is going to be on this, but at least can you prove a lot of your concepts and ideas off of existing stuff without having to code or spend too much resources figuring out all this other stuff?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add rapid prototyping from like a rapid prototyping perspective. Like any startup needs to really think about how they're actually going to get their users to schedule it on their calendar. Like that, you can leverage a bunch of different toolbox, like existing tool sets that you can be able to put it together to be able to put together exactly what TipTat's saying, like a demonstration that there's enough desire and demand for what it is that you're creating. Even if the VR piece isn't there, like getting the community together, putting it on the calendar, rallying around in an existing VR application, and then figuring out what that next step is. Like doing the small MVP prototyping pieces first, just to get traction and understand, what it is the consumer or enterprise really wants first, before going and spending a ton of money on building out a whole product.
I absolutely agree. And piggybacking off of the proof of concept and the MVP, what we did was we held our first 2 meetups in VR chat, and we looked into VR chat, we looked into Altspace VR, because our core team was still working on projects, paid projects and things like that. So we couldn't, full dive all in on this thing before we proved the concept. So we proved the concept in VR chat first. And from that, we were able to learn specific pain points about each of the different existing applications. So that learning was useful, in addition to just learning how to design networking sessions in VR, how to design talks in VR, things like that. So I 100%, I absolutely agree with these. So I wanted to hear from some examples in your existing portfolios. What companies, 2-part question. One part is, what companies have succeeded, do you believe, or did well in terms of raising funding? How do you think they got there? And second is, using the specific example, if you can use a specific example, why do you think they've succeeded overall as a company, as a product or service? The success stories, from your portfolios. You want to start, Maddie?
Sure. So I'm going to sort of counter to that too. Okay. Yes, I've seen we've seen a lot of companies raise money, but I've actually seen a lot of companies recently start making money in VR. So I think there is like a counter to venture right now in VR, and I think that's a traction point that it needs to be discussed, because I think there's a lot of money to be made in VR today. And so, first is like, I think you can make money in VR. We are sort of in a weird time, and being a sustainable business is a really healthy thing to be, so that you can continue to thrive. And anything that gets you to sustainability is also going to bring additional traction, additional customers, clients, and it makes you focus on creating and adding true value, not just something that is a nice to have, because you need people to pay for it. So when people put money on the line, I think it's really important. So I think that right now VR is not like, I don't know if it's like the most popular thing to be investing in right now. I definitely think there's an appetite for it still, but I do think that there's a way to make money today in VR, and that should be your first goal. From a venture perspective, raising capital is to the point we were talking about earlier, proving out the traction and the vision and the market, and then that you have existing clients or you have existing customers that are willing to pay or join or be a part of your community. So, and I'm sort of blanking on examples right this second. I know Tipta has some really good ones, so I'll let him talk more about his examples.
Well, I think Maddie nailed it. Like, it was kind of what I alluded to earlier, where again, there are customers that are putting up pilots and are willing to pay for pilots. So like even early on, you can get some revenue, right? And I feel like showing that again, you're filling a need, you're solving a problem, and that customers are so excited for it that they'll actually pay for it. And then thinking about, okay, well, are these just marketing fluff pilots, or are they actually going to be pilots that are affecting their business? And make sure that the pilots are designed in a way that show real ROI for the customers, that they know, okay, well, you know what? You hit this goal of, 3xing their, their sales pipeline or whatever, then this is going to unlock a bigger opportunity. Or saying, hey, you know what? You're going to show that that train in your application learn 3 times faster, and that reduces the cost of what pays for itself. Right? Like,
mute your mic.
Getting very focused on what the value proposition is for your customer or for the industry, I think that's the key. And we're starting to see VR companies really do that. And so when a VR company can show that kind of that kind of value, then it becomes a no-brainer. And it's not about, are they a VR company or not? It's just like, are they actually providing value to their customers, right? And I feel like you guys this is very enterprise focused, but I did want to talk a little bit about on the consumer side too, and what we're seeing in VR. I still think that, bar none, the biggest success story in VR gaming, and maybe VR period, is Beat Saber, right? What's interesting about it is not just, how successful they've been, but if you think about the path they took to get there, these were 3 full-time developer, like core developer founders, 2 part-time. They worked over a year on this game with no funding, and it was just a passion project, just something that they were excited for. And when they launched, they used early access. They built a game that if they had pitched to any publisher or any VC and said, "Hey, look, we're building a game that's a music rhythm game, and it has 10 unlicensed songs you've never heard of made by RC, and it's single player, right? Like, at least on a set, people would be like, oh my God, that's barely a game. That's barely a tech demo, right? But it was so polished, so well done that, they made, I think, $2 million their first month, right? And that snowballed into doing over $20 million, being the first, platinum selling VR game. But what's interesting about all of that is, like, again, they didn't have to do this with investment or permission from anyone else. They built something that, again, wasn't too much, but was just really well polished and well executed. And that, because it was early access, the audience understood that, responded to it, that gave them the next step. And I feel like a lot of people are still trying to say, like, we need to build Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right.
But it's like, before you get to Grand Theft Auto 5, you still need to build a basic driving game or a basic shooting game or a basic, build the core, and that kind of goes back into don't try to do everything, and just make sure that you do one thing and polish it and be laser focused on what you're trying to solve, who you're trying to solve it for, and that it's awesome.
And on the enterprise side, I would say, like, if you're working on a pitch deck in enterprise right now, like try to not mention virtual reality in your pitch deck until the very end, or if at all. Like try to put together your pitch and actually not make VR a topic. Like it's the best tool for me to solve this problem, so it's obviously going to be in VR, but you don't need to lead with VR. I think actually it's to your disadvantage sort of to lead with VR in your pitch deck. So I would challenge you to at least like try to write a pitch deck or a kind of your one-liner without saying the word VR, and really get to the value of what VR is actually bringing to the table that wasn't there before for the company.
Yeah, and one thing too, I want to talk a little bit about on the enterprise side, in terms of like when I look at projects, I feel like so many people are so quick to try to just recreate reality, but it has to be better than reality, right? Like, so the example I give would be like, okay, how can you not just make it feel like, okay, for a virtual meeting app, right? Like virtual meeting, it can't just feel like, oh, does this make it feel like I'm in a real meeting with another person? Like, no, you have to think like, okay, no. What would I love to have? Why do meetings in general suck? And how can I make it so good that instead of saying, oh, we're going to use VR when we don't want to meet in person, it's like, no. I'd rather do all my meetings in VR because I'm so much more effective, or they're so much more productive, right? Like,
value prop.
Like thinking about this, COVID thing, I feel like a lot of people are jumping on this idea of, virtual meetings and virtual conferences. And I think the idea is like, well, most of the applications that we see are still kind of like trying to replicate reality and not trying to go beyond it. And so that way, when COVID calms down, people just go back to the regular way. But if we can show people, oh my God, this is a better way of doing it, you're so much more effective, or you're so much more efficient, then hopefully we can get people to say, oh, you know what? I'd rather not do it the old way. The old way wasn't that great after all. So I feel like this is the opportunity that we have really right now to kind of show off, okay, not just that VR can be an alternative, but that VR is the better alternative.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, I'd say better. And what we try to do is also better and different. What is different that you can do in VR that you can't do in real life at all? And just to use one of our ideas as an example, unproven right now, but one thing that we think would be different would be being able to being able to do demos in VR, but also like virtual business cards and AI recommendation systems and things like that, that you don't have, you could open up an app on a smartphone to do that. You can, you can try to drive a giant, Tesla car into the auto show, but you can't actually do a test drive there. So different things that wasn't possible in real life originally. I think that's a big value proposition. But going back to what you said as well, better and different. Does anybody from the audience have any questions? You're welcome to stand in the corner anytime, or in the corner if you want to raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll continue. We just have like maybe one or two more questions left. So we alluded to this earlier when we were talking about enterprise, when we were talking about entertainment, Beat Saber. So moving forward in the future, where do you see for the non-VR investors out there, or for the companies that are looking for different directions to explore in, where do you see are the markets, the growth opportunities moving into the future? You could gauge it with 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or even longer, however you like. But the biggest growth opportunities that you folks see from where you're standing, all the companies that you've looked at, and the market research that you guys have done.
Sure. I guess I'll jump in and start. I don't know how many of you guys have read. I recently did an article with Road to VR, kind of talking about the opportunities in the gaming space in VR, especially because of the success of the Quest and the fact that PlayStation has 5 million PSVRs out there. But again, for small startups, not just so for small gaming startups, my theory or my hypothesis is that VR is actually the best place, the most the biggest opportunity in all of gaming right now. Because in mobile gaming, even if you have $1 million a month to spend on marketing and world-class IP, that still doesn't mean success, right? And so it's like, for the budget of a monthly marketing spend, you could probably create a couple of VR games that could succeed in the market, right? So that's kind of like one area that I think is really hot or really interesting. The other bigger opportunity too is enterprise, right? Like focusing down on, but what type of enterprise plays now? I feel like training was the first step. Training people to do their jobs and Striver's shown a great success. They now train over 1 million people with Walmart and all sorts of other companies like Verizon. But the next step is actually doing the work in VR and being productive or XR, but being productive in VR and AR. And I think this is where companies like Gravity Sketch, other companies out there where people are actually doing the work in the headset, showing that again. I think they had Ford designers saying that used to take days of work is now hours of work using Gravity Sketch, and trying to figure out where are those opportunities across all sorts of different enterprise opportunities, right? So I think that's the thing for me, that I'm trying to look for that transition of training is good, but doing the work and being productive in VR AR, that's great.
Reminds me of what Pam said on the last. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it reminds me of what Pam said on the last panel about scalability, scaling, and making cost effectiveness, time saving. Yeah. Yeah, Matt.
I was just going to add. I mean, productivity was going to be my sort of thing that I think really is a way for VR to get into everyone's everyday worlds. I think we've seen so many people, like every enterprise team, any startup team has so many distributed tool sets out there. It's not uncommon to like be trying a new app or a new productivity tool on a regular basis. So I think it's a really great opportunity for a clean UX UI, to really think more spatially about productivity and bring things together in a unique format. And maybe a little bit more magical. I think all of our work tools need to be a little bit more magical and have a little bit more kind of like a fantastic sort of piece to them, where you really feel and like are able to lean into like the emotion of what it is that you're creating or trying to explain, and not just a task list per se. But to Tipitat's earlier point, like a company named Primitive allows you to see your entire code base. So, in virtual reality, and you can actually onboard your new developers much faster. And so there are new ways of thinking about existing things that we're already doing, but able to make that productivity, make that onboarding much faster, much cleaner, much quicker. And I think there's real value to be added.
A quick
I think there's a
follow-up.
ton of real value to be added.
Do you have an example of an existing productivity application that's magical? Like is Microsoft Word magical, or?
Well, I'm sort of.
I would say Microsoft Word was magical when it first came out.
For sure.
You had to compare it to like writing on a piece of paper.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Microsoft Word was damn magical, right? Like if you think about what graphic design used to be before Adobe Illustrator and
Yeah.
Photoshop,
I see.
and you're like, okay, I had to be an X-Acto knife expert to be able to do graphic design. Like, yes,
Got it.
but in that way, since we grew up with it, it didn't seem magical for us. But then we
Wow,
have to
this
think in
is
the
so
same way.
easy. Yeah, wow, this
What
saves
would
me
be
so much
magical?
time. Yeah. Wow, I could do
I
things
mean, I
I
think
couldn't
you
do
have
before.
people experimenting with like Superhuman and other like email or productivity tools that have reduced UX and UI like hurdles, and try to really streamline your productivity into a very simple format. I think also like from an animation perspective, obviously there's a ton of opportunity for design and animation in VR. You're already thinking spatially when you're thinking about game design, or you're thinking about animated movies or films or shorts. Like it seems like a very logical way. I think I saw Masterpiece in here somewhere.
Yep.
And so just thinking through like, how does what tools could we create that actually fit the end product better using VR than they do using a two-dimensional screen. So
Awesome.
Yeah, I think another example that isn't as obvious to most people, but like data science, looking at numbers, it's not that exciting. People are like, okay, numbers are 2D. But then again, if you take that, data graph, bring it into 3D in 3 dimensions, bring it in VR, make it collaborative, you're really democratizing something that's very obtuse to most people, right? So I think taking abstract work and turning it visual and spatial, I think that's going to be a lot of the power that we see in terms of productivity.
Awesome. Thank you. And just one final question. In a tweet, if you were to give our audience of VR entrepreneurs in enterprise, in consumer entertainment, non-VR investors, what piece of advice should stick after your talk? What do you want them to know?
I'm bad at tweeting, but I would challenge everyone to try to not mention VR in their pitch deck. That I think you'll learn a lot about your business and you'll learn about where your real value lies in your company. Not a tweet, but close-ish.
No, it's good. Yeah, VR as a tool. Yeah, I interpret it.
What would I say? I mean, I would say that now is the time. I feel like there are a lot of bottlenecks before in terms of like, oh, the hardware, can we really scale it? I think the Quest is showing that this is the right hardware that can scale, not just for consumers, but for enterprises as well. And so I think a lot of ideas that might not have been working before, at least that were restricted by the hardware, no longer have those limitations. And so I think, really go back now and think about, okay, now that this isn't one of the blockers, what can really, where can we really take this? So that's the opportunity is now, and it's really on us to fuck it up.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tipita. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, everybody here in the audience for coming. We'll go ahead and move on now to our Speak with the Speakers networking. We'll have our speakers come down to the white area. If you're interested in speaking with the speakers, please stay in the panel room. If you're interested in networking or going to the exhibition booth, please do the networking outside in the exhibition booth, the non-speaker networking. And in closing remarks, I just want to say thank you, everybody, one more time for attending our VR investment conference in VR. We will be sending out a survey shortly later this afternoon. We absolutely need your feedback and would greatly appreciate everybody's feedback. As I mentioned, the dev team, this is a 2.5-week project that the dev team spent on. We have seen a lot of issues. We've learned a lot through this. We want to learn more from you, from your feedback. So thank you again so much. After the networking sessions, I'll also be at the Virtual World Arcade booth, as will probably the rest of the exhibitors. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you. The exhibition closes at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right.
So any questions?
Hey, Nelda, is my mic on?
Hey, Max.
I'll do the first question.
Awesome.
Can I send you guys a follow-up email? Would love to chat. Maybe send a deck. Maybe hop on a call. Yeah,
of course.
Would love to get your feedback. Thank you.
Okay. There's an area over there or outside. How do you get outside area?
What you doing down there?
I could start with something.
Okay, yeah, sure.
What do you think?
So you talked a lot about
Hey, Jeremy.
Products in the
Hey, Richard.
entertainment space, gaming.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Welcome.
I was wondering,
question.
Do you want to go
if you
outside?
evaluate those
Yeah, let's go outside.
types of companies or proposals differently than you would an enterprise sort of proposal.
Sorry, we're still
Just
working on
wanted
the
to
audio,
ask
so we got to walk pretty far.
Yeah, that's no worries.
What'd you think of your first?
I was going to ask, what's a kosher way to approach him
I had to
on
log out a few
want to
times
introduce
'cause I
him to
keep,
Tempest 84?
choosing
The investors?
avatar and then eventually
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you
I
have
just
your
don't
email.
want, in normal, yeah.
I'd go talk to them now. Ask them a question.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you're looking
Okay,
for
cool.
like an
I just-
advice, or like we could start with that, and then you could see if you could exchange emails. Yeah.
Cool. I just didn't know if that was unkosher not to ask because I don't know what type of,
Oh no, yeah. Absolutely normal. Normally in real life. No, yeah, you're good. Normally in real life you exchange business cards, but we have your email on the top there for people who want to share the email. So yeah, absolutely.
Would it be?
You
okay?
Robin, can you?
Yeah. Come and see if you can poke in and ask a question. Yeah.
You should go talk to Maddie.
All right, cool.
What were you gonna ask?
Way to solve
What is that? What is that little square in the wall over
I
there?
think very early stage, self-funded.
Yeah, I
Again,
was
I think
looking at
looking
that
at
too.
understanding
We're doing a research
VR
project looking into using VR for fitness rehabilitation and therapy.
Yeah.
So we're actually looking at using
I would say too is
existing games so we can
what's
increase the
interesting
amount of
about
content that's out
games and
there. We're
consumer
doing
stuff
research
is
looking
you can
into
build something,
how
put it on early
those games
access,
get you moving,
put it
how
on
they can help
Cyclepass,
with mental and
see if
physical
you
health
care about it,
problems.
see if there's an
Wondering
impact,
what
right?
sort of stage, I
Whereas
guess,
with
would
enterprise,
be
it's
good
really about
to start looking
finding that first customer,
pitching to
finding out,
investors
validating
like
the
yourself.
vision of the problem
Yeah, so
for
I
them
think
to want to actually spend a lot of money on,
mean,
and then
getting
trying to
clear
say,
on-
okay, hey,
Well, I
is
think
this a better way of solving that problem than what you currently have?
that you have a security of
So
people
in a
that-
way, enterprise can be more directed.
Cutting out a bit.
Consumers a little bit more
I know,
of a
I'm
Hail
having a hard
Mary,
time hearing.
but you can get a lot of
Oh.
direct response or direct feedback. And one of the things I've been thinking about,
Hey, Jeremy?
Jumping
in
around.
particular,
I'm gonna
Hey.
go
big
up to the
challenge.
back
Do you wanna
of
step
the
outside?
room
Okay.
is
Does
marketing.
that work?
Yeah.
See
Yeah.
if that
Trying to get
helps.
people to know about your game.
Yeah, sorry, we're still working on the audio, so we gotta walk out a bit to have a
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, sorry, man. I was having some trouble logging in.
No problem.
I think.
Who is this?
You know.
Who are you?
Oh, this is Ryan.
Oh,
from Outpost.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much for coming.
I think I just missed the session, right?
Yeah. I'll make a quick announcement because I want to let folks do Q&A with you. So.
Okay.
Would you be interested? Yeah. You're still in time for the networking session.
He'll give it to you.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Maddie at Boost.vc. But give you some more specific feedback on the email.
Demo that really shows off
that's great.
And real quick before I do that, what headset are you using?
You're gonna have, and that.
So Tipatat,
yeah.
Your mic seems to be cutting out every so often.
Oh, sorry.
Before me.
Okay.
What headset are you using?
Try to talk a little slower. Instead of actually making a playable slice that you put on
controller.
Just make a
one of the
mixed reality
buttons,
video
A or B
that
buttons.
shows the gameplay that you're trying to
Can you type in your name and email?
and see if that goes viral. See if people get excited about playing this type of game you
See,
envision.
that's popping up.
And if that goes viral, then put out the vertical slice. Then do the work to finish the rest of the game. But my theory about all this is it's all hypotheses.
Communicate with you there.
The sooner,
Sorry, I'm
quicker you
having a
can
hard
test
time
your
hearing you.
hypotheses, the better off you're going to be, right? Without having to spend too much work. Okay.
Since easier you know the demand, you can supply it.
Exactly, right? Like if people watch the video and they're like, that doesn't look that great, then you're like, okay, well,
1 to 10.
if you can't sell it in the, then it'll be
It's
hard to
just
sell
all
in
of the
general.
conversations. I don't have a good enough focus ability.
I'll write that down.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Good. Our team applied to try 13.
Okay.
And I remember Adam.
There you go.
that,
Is it showing up?
we should get
Yeah, you're good.
Especially in preparation
Perfect.
Sorry to interrupt. Ryan Wang from Outpost Capital, our other investor speaker,
Hey guys.
just made it. He's available for questions as well for our networking session, so feel free to come up and ask.
What we've done a lot is go to
Super.
different.
Yeah, good to meet you guys.
That was
we
the name.
applied.
Hey.
And we had
Hey, Katie.
And we applied with MRI.
I guess,
Are you joining from UK?
Okay.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
breaking out. I heard
Oh,
some
wow.
fun,
Cool,
we
yeah, I'm
made
happy
tons
to
of
see
people,
feedback.
and then what happened?
Yeah, we
That's
made
nice
tons
to
of
see.
progress.
You guys are from
Got a lot of
America or-
endorsements. and
Yeah,
have an
so
LOI, so
I'm personally
Yeah, I
in
would say,
LA, but my
I'm
company is
adding
based in San
me to
Francisco.
your
I'm hoping that's kind of a
updates
smart
would
Hey,
be
Craig.
probably the best too, because then I have sort of
I'm
the
in
points of
Michigan.
where you were at
Hello.
when you applied
Michigan.
and updates over the last
Wow.
And
3
then
months,
we're in.
leading up to our next application
Yeah.
process. And
For
then
now.
Jeremy, you really did a good job. We have
it'll sort of like
audience
scan
coming
system
from
that you send
all over the world, huh?
Just
Yeah, that's the magic of VR. Yeah.
and not just
Yeah.
Thank you. Our dev team worked very
Yeah, I
hard for the
guess
past 2 weeks.
the virus situation really helps people to get more time in the digital world and start to use all these virtual conferencing technologies and VR AR tools.
Haven't done VR
traction on
before.
the sales
It's hard to
side.
know.
We're
One of the
hoping.
best industries to be in.
We're hoping that even after the virus, we can have proved our concept enough that, say, doing networking is more effective, more cost-effective, time-effective than a real-life conference. Trying to sell and do a demo in VR is more effective, easier, saves money and saves time. So hopefully, the value prop lasts past the conference, and you go, oh, I can go fly to GDC in San Francisco and do the hotel and everything for a week, or I could just do this in VR on my headset at my office.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember I got pitched a lot about some of the VR social platforms, right? And they always say, hey, what's a good time for us to meet up so that we can walk you through the business plan? And I was like, okay, yeah, building a VR social platform, so why don't we meet in VR? Why don't we just jump on your social platform so that we can talk about business, we can hang out there, and throughout that practice, I can also learn more about your product, right? Because you are building the social platform that's use your
If venture is right for you, I think it's actually a really important conversation. That's
Absolutely.
Jeremy,
That's what we hope to do today.
Right. Did you build out this one?
Yeah, our dev team spent 2.5 weeks working on this. We have a lot to learn. We learned a lot just today, and we hope to get your feedback in surveys, and we'd love to connect over email afterwards, get more feedback.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe a call.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Yeah. So right now, all the characters there are only 2 avatars available, right? The male
Yeah, I
and
appreciate it. I will follow up with you.
In the long run, we want people to be able to upload their own. We know that speakers will be able to convey their presentation and their pitch better if they had their own. The exhibitors will be able to pitch and sell better if they had their own avatar. So that's what we hope to provide with them, to them. Yeah.
Right. Right. But technically, can you leverage the avatar system within the Oculus ecosystem so that, I have already customized my Oculus avatar so that in this platform I can go out with my Oculus avatar?
I'm not sure, but that sounds really interesting. Yeah, I need to ask my devs. That's something that we want to look into. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So it shouldn't just be like, oh, look at these cool environments. I mean,
This carrot nose is very cute. Everyone has this kind of nose like a carrot.
So when earlier in the panel we were talking about how we did a proof of concept in other platforms. What we learned is larger proportion hands, larger proportion head conveys your body language better in VR. And if you can convey your communication better, you can sell your business better, you can pitch better, you can present better. So yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. They're the ones you're controlling.
Yep.
I see Craig is making some dancing move here.
Yeah, it's quite funny watching the cat.
So Jeremy, I have a question. Are you guys going to look into doing WebXR for it? Or do you think this
we would love to use WebXR.
Like through a web browser?
My devs have already been looking into it. I just haven't had the time with this conference, but I'm looking into it like after I take this headset off. Like the Firefox WebXR. So our long-term vision for this is that this exhibition, this conference, this material lives on the internet, the VR internet, and you can go just by plugging in a website URL. The original vision was we want to create the VR internet, but how do you do that? No one's going to do it for free. The original internet started with enterprise. Enterprise putting money into the internet so that they can make money, sell things with their website. These exhibitions, these demos, these pitch decks and presentations and marketing assets, that's the beginning of those websites. So we want to put this on the VR internet so anybody can just go on and use this content. And it's advertising for businesses. So we take enterprise money from non-VR and funnel that money into developing content for the conferences, but that stays on the internet. So WebXR is extremely interesting to us,
I just think you'll learn a lot in that process. So yes, of course, like the long vision is that you
on the WebXR side, if you are looking into that, I can connect you with one of my portfolio companies.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Called
Super Medium. We sent them several email invites, and we would really appreciate an introduction. Yes.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a screenshot just so I remember to follow up with you. All right, we're good.
That would be a challenge that I would put on you to see what that looks like and if people are willing to.
Jeremy, you said you were working on some like VR fitness stuff as well.
Yeah, I think you
just
seeing.
Would you like to talk about that at our booth? That might be easier.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. We'll head over. Walk over to our booth.
Want to pay for a membership? You know, do they want to be at home and not in the studio? Like what's important to them?
Yeah. Thank you for making it to the conference, by the way, Katie.
Starting those
No, it's not. It's the first VR conference.
Ours too. All right, we're almost there. We're up ahead.
Members they sent out a list, so if you want to contact
All right, so we're right over here. Yes. So we've been working on a fitness VR curriculum, and it works with an exercise bike, elliptical, and a rowing machine. And the concept is to be used in a VR gym where you have a fitness trainer telling you exactly, okay, this is the light mode, this is medium, this is, you know, the high intensity mode, pedal faster. This is, you have 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, 1 minute, go fast. So for those types of like Orange Theory type of classes. And each one of these experiences is 20 minutes, and you're in like this autumn, very relaxing autumn trail. When you do the rowing, you're in this, you know, autumn river. And what we've learned from the proof of concept is, one, you lose track of time, and two, it doesn't feel like work. When I'm at the gym, it's not enjoyable work. But here, you lose track of time and you're just doing this, and you go, oh wow, I exercise that much, I burn that many calories. So it's a very interesting concept that we've proven. The company that we're partnering with to work on this fitness app is TriArt. Perfect. Yeah, so you've connected already. Great. Yeah. But basically, we are like our studio is like a dev house. We are working on this fitness project for TriArt. We're working on this therapy app for Sodalic over there. We're working on Portals, Edges, a time travel game. We're working on this safety training for Cam and Ice over there, and so on. There's more, yeah.
Yeah, like the VR fitness sort of definitely fits with our concept. We're taking like games that are already out there and sort of testing their fitness aspects and psychological aspects, how they can help with like physical and mental health. And the plan is to develop different programs using a variety of these different games to focus on specific health issues.
Have you connected with Aaron Stanton from the VR Health Institute?
I had a chat with him a little while ago, but that was like last year when we were just kind of starting up. And, might be worth getting in.
Aaron's good people
they
to.
did the metabolic rates.
Yeah. And Black Box also. I find that a very interesting concept, tying games to fitness. Very, very interesting. What have you found so far? Do you guys have a demo?
Not at the moment. We are 2 weeks away from finishing our data.
Awesome. Exciting.
At a 20 participant an hour a week from VR games.
Sorry, Katie, your microphone is cutting out a little bit. You might be trying to cut out background noise or something.
We do medical stimulation.
I think it'll be nice, like if we go into the booth area, like as long as whoever in the booth area, you isolate all the other noise, right? And limit the conversation of whoever in the booth. Everyone inside the booth can have a private conversation.
Yeah, like a private room
outside the booth.
We've heard that feedback a lot, and I think we're going to put it in for the next conference. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that. Sorry, Katie. Is your mic okay?
I'm just using the Oculus Quest, so it's the inbuilt mic.
Okay. Cool. I can hear you now. You were talking about what you had learned. Yeah, the research and the data you've been gathering.
So we're 2 weeks away from finishing our data collection.
Talking about how I could help out you guys with this game or other projects, virtual world games in general. So I'm kind of wanting to meet other
Sorry, Katie. I think the microphone stopped picking up your audio. I hear you now.
It's when you talk for longer periods.
And that's what I was.
Nice to meet you.
We've had problems with the Quest before when the Quest will think something is background noise and start cutting it out. But maybe your voice is just very soothing and calm, so it thinks it's in the background. Yeah, sorry about
No,
that.
I think what's going on there. I don't
Or maybe if I can send you an email, and we can chat more in.
Yeah, that'd be
more in
great.
depth
You
about it.
you have my email. Yeah, I have yours. I'll take a screenshot of yours now. Yeah. Okay.
No, great. So you've been doing some research into this, or are you more developing developing the apps for the?
Yeah, we're more developing the apps and we're learning through experience and testing. So that's where most of our learning has been coming from. We've been doing a lot of tester meetups here in the local San Jose area. So we've been seeing people's reactions in real time, getting feedback. We iterate pretty quickly. We like every 2 weeks we'll do like a test with a bunch of people, but we could like shorten that to like even more, frequently. But yeah, we have a really nice tester community here in the Bay Area. Where you're from UK? Oh yeah, that's
from sort of Cornwall, so very south of the UK.
How is the time for you? The time zone, time.
It started at 7.
Jeremy,
Your 2 p.m. was mine.
Yeah, thank you for coming, even though it's late for you. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Hopefully, it's at least better than like flying and the jet lag.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes. That's right.
Do you see that like there's a guy over there?
Yeah, they went upstairs. The stairs are over there. Yeah. So if it gets too loud over here, you can go upstairs. There's more room upstairs.
Got it. I was wondering like how he get there.
Oh yeah, over there.
Hi, Craig. Welcome.
So Jeremy, where are you at in San Francisco?
We're in San Jose, East San Jose to be exact. Yep.
The Bay Area.
Yep. San Jose.
Brain doesn't register
Oh,
anymore.
Yeah. Are you in SF?
Play whatever you want.
That pretty close by.
Nice.
It's more automated.
I'm in Michigan.
Oh, you're in Michigan, right? What does your company do?
But thanks for the information. It's an interesting
Yeah.
concept, and good luck.
Just a lot of people.
For sure, I appreciate it. I look forward to talking to you.
We build
Oh, nice.
VR training simulations for business digital health. And then we've made a couple of VR games that we've launched on the Steam store.
Awesome.
And then
What kind of
So we
training do you
kinda do
focus
that.
on? Like safety training, or like healthcare training, or like warehouse training, construction training?
it's been we've done a little bit of all of those really. We did an AR project that
I'm gonna
tracks
talk with
certain
Jeremy more
KPIs for
about
training
this
an
on a
employee on
later
parts that come
time,
down on a
but
line.
I'm still
Oh,
curious.
like assembly, like
Automated
manufacturing.
in a dashboard. and
What's your
displayed on,
priorities in terms
a
of
screen.
what needs to get done?
Yep, for manufacturing, we built, we built some, there was a company, an imaging tech company that wanted to show stages of cancer, so we built out like a skeleton and things for some health companies. We built an MRI machine experience for people to try that. We built out a horror game. We built out, just a variety. We've done a variety of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. Yeah.
now
Same
we're
with
trying to
us.
build like internal tools. Like we want to build,
Single player.
yeah, we want to build education tools, and so we're kind of looking for funding to build. We started with language, so we built out like a small Japanese learning experience where there's a little AI box that you press a button and it tells you the name of an object in Japanese, and then you got to go find it and bring it back, and it like, tracks how long it takes you, and if you found how many wrong items you pick up. And just basically like things modules that you can create, and then if a teacher wanted to, they could put different modules together, and or if you're an adjunct professor, you could just schedule a meeting with someone, kind of like this. Yeah. Face to face.
Where have you found the most? Where have you found the most success in all the things that you've explored? Is it the training piece
Being able to
for your company?
merge those two genres.
Well,
because
so far, training has been we've done the most jobs in training because that's like the easiest, I guess, recognizable thing in VR to do.
Especially in the
but in the manufacturing space, I see AR probably being more dominant medium. But I'm just not. I'm still trying to figure out where, like VR, and how we can utilize it. the winner of the
Yeah, I think we
having
all are.
meeting spaces is great. Like like this, so you can talk, talking to other people, and having these booths is really cool. To market and explain stuff, and as they get bigger, then I can see there'll be more use cases like selling your stuff inside of VR, or exchanging, business services, working inside of it, like the other guy was talking about earlier.
Absolutely, productivity.
That's kind of where I see it going, and
we
I started
also
getting into WebXR myself about a year ago.
Oh, nice.
Those can be probably working sometimes, I guess.
What have you been doing? Just like playing around with it, or?
You said you're in.
So I've been just kind of using 3JS and A-Frame to create different types of rooms to see so with our company, we can make really good model
because he's been so busy with this conference.
Side of WebEx.
My last name is Schoenfeld.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
practicing seeing how many poly count.
Yeah, you got to talk slowly and deliberately in order
type of things that I can build in their interactions. Some people are going to be
implementing
questions.
I should be able to send you an
email
from the contact
that kind of testing out stuff.
Yeah, I think performance is a big problem to solve.
Like I'm building a resume right now.
I'd be interested in getting your content on our arcade. What's
on
your name?
Yeah. I absolutely think like
so for example,
it was nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you as well. Right now, we will be setting up a Discord chat.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 3D. I guess you could call them 3D spaces. Like imagine this.
That's fine. That's fine.
On a mobile,
these
little spot.
Your content at my arcade. Definitely use
it's all up
some more boost
in
actual development.
Chris, how you doing?
A really
I'm
big
doing good.
voice
How are you
of
doing?
people joining
doing
our
well, thank you.
Discord.
Then put your own
Tell me about
person.
it. What is that?
I
Is that
think a
3
lot of
games? Is that
people
what
might be interested in
I'd love to
connecting,
connect.
their rooms
We build
together
virtual reality
with all of their stuff, to show up. So I could go to this, kind of like these booths where you're showing off games. I think it could be expanded to people showing off their 3D models, people showing off, like their music.
We have
So
requests.
I built like a little test room
Kind
that
of pushing out new content.
got
Okay.
made
Features, yeah.
that photo.
Definitely. I mean, it's such a
Yeah,
cool
I do think that WebEx. Yeah, I do think that WebXR is the future. And you have my email, right? So I'd love to keep chatting about WebXR, especially when we start looking into maybe we could share notes and stuff.
Virtual world.
Yep, I have it on our card, on our contact card. Yeah, and here too. Yeah. Feel free to shoot me an email. Yeah, I don't know how often I check LinkedIn.
Yeah, I took a.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah, screenshot.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I'm gonna screen.
Are you enjoying it? Is this your first?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Dave.
You're cutting out. Sorry.
Jeremy, what's up?
Hi. How did you find out about us? Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Well, it's me, Kipsy. You only know me as Kipsy in the Discord.
Oh, hey, Kipsy. Welcome. Oh yeah, this is your new game company, Happenstance. Yeah. Congratulations on the email address. You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
And then if you log on Saturday at 1.
Yeah, so this is just everything else that we work on, for our business to keep the lights on. Rayori is our #1 passion project right now that we love and care.
Do you have any plan on going back to SciComm? I actually played it like 3 days ago. It's actually really good.
If we have a developer for it, we just don't have developers because these games don't make the passion project games don't make money. So if there's a dev who wants to own it and like put their name in the credits and work on it and drive the community, then that's we're all open, totally open for that.
That's good. I got a contact.
There you go.
I was playing it and I was like, really good. And I was wondering why they. But it makes sense if it's just a passion project. You can't make any money off of it. Being employed.
Yeah. Consumer in-home game market is very tough right now. So Quest is good, but very hard to get into Quest. It takes about $500,000 investment to get in there. So to make a quality product so that they approve it. So yeah, we work around
down
it.
left and right.
Yeah, we work around it with side quests right now. So
Did you see the news about side quests? The Oculus might be making their own beta version.
very exciting, very exciting. Yeah, that means this will be much easier to do on Quest. So yeah, we've been emailing the Oculus guys, just trying to get in contact with them.
Do
So
you go to the game devs out there? Like, the Spire groups?
Oh, everybody,
Not really.
everybody going?
Didn't have too much joy
Oh,
with
like
that
the
sort of
meetup.
stuff.
yeah, there's only about like 15 minutes left of the conference, so this is the tail end of it. So yeah, thanks for staying all the way till the end.
Fit me in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, last minute, I'm glad we were able to get you in.
Actually, I'll say ready to send my trailer. I was planning on releasing 2 trailers.
Yeah, put it in
for Half-Life.
self-promotion. Yeah, put it in self-promotion channel
But definitely
on the
want
Discord.
music implementation, sound
I'm gonna
design.
send you. I told you whenever it was ready.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hi Hans, welcome. I'm glad you can make it.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks. I'm coming from Japan, so it's pretty early for me in the morning.
Oh, welcome. What time is it? Thank you for making it.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, I made a mistake. I thought you were starting 5-hour time, but we're already going, so I thought maybe I was 1 hour late. But
Oh, okay.
it's about 6 o'clock in the morning now, I think.
I see. Well, thank you so much for making the time. Yeah.
No
Hopefully,
problem.
it's still better than flying and the time than the
It is, yes.
jet lag and Corona.
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Always have fun.
I had a quick look at your site before. So, can you tell me a little bit about your company, what you do?
Yes. So we make VR content. So a lot of what we're doing today is enterprise VR content. A VR safety training application for ICE over there. A VR fitness for a fitness curriculum for VR gyms, for art over there, fitness, TriArt, and a therapy app for therapists, patients, depression, anxiety, PTSD for Sudalic over there. So, we started off working on our passion projects, our games. We ran them at VR arcades. We still do. We run birthday parties, corporate events, license the games. We have games out on Steam. Our new game that came out in early access last November hit top charts, top 3 on early access. So that was amazing. But we work on those part-time because those don't really pay the bills. The enterprise contracts pays the bills.
Those applications are quite interesting to us because we are getting into the elderly care sector.
Okay.
In old people's homes, they have gyms. And they also have a need for, relaxation and get people sort of involved, get people interested in having experiences and doing things. So we're looking for applications to use.
If you're looking for content, we have content. Yeah.
Seems like good fit there.
Yeah. You have my email on my name tag. I have your email. I'll take a screenshot of you right now.
I guess you're in the list as well.
Yeah. I'm Jeremy. Yeah. And all the emails that you're getting is from me too. So yeah, I think
Okay, right. Yeah, we were doing what do you call it? Architectural visualization for a start. But the elderly sector is the most, hottest here now, and especially with the, this virus stuff going on. A lot of facilities are closing down, so they want to do the sort of networking using VR.
Oh yeah.
People can do stuff at home or in their homes. They do like the gyms, as I mentioned as well. This bicycle here that you have, something that you can use on a training bicycle.
Yeah. So this one actually 3 machines: the bike, the elliptical, that's kind of like jogging, and then the rowing machine, like a boat. So 3 experiences. You are in a very relaxing autumn woods environment. You bike through the trail or you row down a river in this environment. What we've learned from testing this proof of concept is people lose track of time in VR in this experience, and it doesn't feel like work. And they're able to exercise without it feeling like work. So in a gym, it's work. It's not enjoyable. You know, you got to work through the 30 minutes. Here, you know, 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, they go, wow, was that already 20 minutes past? I think it felt like 5. So a huge multiplier of, you know, the sense of time. And so we think, this particular application is meant to use with a personal trainer, with a fitness trainer. So the fitness trainer will say, hey, this is 5 minutes of light intensity warm-up. And then, no, this is 10 minutes of medium intensity, and this is like 2 minutes of high intensity. Pedal as fast as you can. 1 minute left, 30 seconds left. 5, you know, so it's meant for that kind of it's like a curriculum. It's like a class, fitness class. So. Yeah. So we've been seeing really good results and really good feedback from this. Definitely a space where VR can be very, very strong and work at a very good business model.
I wouldn't do it myself. What we also do is we localize applications as well for Japan. So tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, we have translated a video for a guy called Mike in the UK. He's the Oasis. I don't know if you've seen that channel. It's a very popular VR channel on YouTube. So we did a Japanese translation of that and a shopping site. So we sort of connect in language stuff as well. Trying to connect Japan as much as possible. We're a bit behind in the VR space now. It's getting hot.
Yeah, they just their mics are on and they probably.
Also, the other one, the relaxation one. Which one was that?
Yeah, so this is like therapy, like mental health, wellness, and this is meant. So actually, we can go over to their booth. They're not here right now, but
there's only one form of locomotion.
So we partner with these folks.
People don't seem to be having an issue
I was talking to this guy before.
This is it. Yeah, this is it.
On my end, I flicker a lot when I move.
This is also a very good idea, I think, for elderly, because they get isolated quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And also people with disabilities in their homes and so on and so forth. We're getting into that as well. So,
absolutely.
So that's probably
mental health and elderly care. Absolutely.
For sure.
Right. So I was just reading this sign here. It is something that we need to do.
The long-term vision is, you know how when you go to a therapist as a patient, they'll run you through some exercises, ask you questions. It's like this. It's an exercise that the therapist designs.
I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, really?
The goal is.
I was just saying, if there was like an easy mute,
say Quest and VR over the internet, and now people, therapists, researchers, scientists can go from all around the world. Can contribute their exercise,
some buttons
and then we can learn from someone with Tibetan monk training. We can learn from somebody from Western science. We can learn from different Eastern science. So that's sort of the long-term vision is distribute this therapy content. And create a community.
Does it support body?
That's actually really well done.
Sorry, one more time.
So I can change gender.
Does it support body tracking?
Oh,
yes.
Can you dance in it?
I see the avatar filling in from over there.
So this is like a prototype of our dance idea. It's a simplified version. You and one other person, you don't talk to each other. You have to complete this task and move your hands together with the other person. The exercise is supposed to build teamwork and a bond and dependency. That in the future is going to evolve into like a dance, exercise.
Also very interesting for us.
Considering that's how it happens.
Because you need to get people, if they're sort of a little bit elderly, a little bit getting a bit weaker, you need to get them to move. Move the body, and especially if you don't need any language at all, because
so you did some programming on this game.
If you could just follow somebody.
Oh, not yet.
It's so easy to get people to move in VR.
Oh, you mean the other one?
When you're in VR, you want to interact.
Sorry, I thought you were pointing at Ray.
So you have your hands. You want to move your hands around. and we can manipulate reality
because I just started
to encourage you, like put these particle effects here, make you want to touch something, make you want to explore somewhere, make you want to dance.
That's exactly what we are building ourselves as well. Yeah, something similar. Yeah,
absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah. I'd love to follow up over email with you. Yeah, let's
have these
chat
together right now. Are these applications? Are they downloadable? Can you try them out?
So here.
Yeah, nothing to it.
We're right here.
Before that,
email Greg.
I was going to the
and
school
let him know.
Yeah, I think I was talking to him a minute ago.
Which is like a free coding
Email
school
him
in
for a
Fremont.
test. And they might be able to set you up. Yeah, but definitely they'll be able to talk with you more about
teachers
it.
And all in C.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah. And
Cool.
so I was doing that for a while, and then
only 5 more minutes, and then exhibition closes. Hi, hey Richard, how's it going?
As a part of a research lab, and for the last couple of months, I've been just doing like Unity and VR through that.
Cool to email them.
Yeah, absolutely. I sent out the full attendee
attendee
contact list.
and game dev because that's what my main
I
focus
wanted
was.
to talk to him
So I
about
was
it when I
like,
interrupted
because I was trying to
while
learn
speaking to the
fundamentals of
I asked
42,
him
but
like a
also
question
pursue
though
game
about
dev.
Okay.
I thought he was gonna.
And
thought he was
so
gonna walk over
I was
here.
working on
Cool.
projects
I will,
there. Like they were doing
just
a
shoot
lot
him
of
an
because it's
email.
a research lab. They
Absolutely.
were doing a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
guys
like
got to
machine
talk, so
learning
you sort of have that
projects
first
with
intro.
Unity
Yeah,
simulations.
done now. Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
was building a lot of those kinds of things, and
That's awesome. This is wonderful what you guys
yeah,
work
it was
on.
a lot
Thank
of
you,
fun.
thank you. Yeah, first time, lots of
I'm really
hiccups,
excited to be like
lots of 2.5 weeks.
game type work, 'cause that's
Patrick
what I
and
wanted to
Justin
do.
and Fanny and
still
I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
cool, but it's not the same as working on games.
Right, yeah.
Hey, Jeremy, it's
Ken,
Ken. How are
welcome
you?
back.
Yeah,
Thank
Thanks,
you.
thanks
And,
a lot for
I
always
think
supporting our
I think
events.
so much.
I think it
need
went
for
well
specific physics, which can be
for
so
this first time. I think it's good.
Thank
Did I
you.
hear you say you're going to send out a survey
feel like I'm
and
not
get
all that
people's
good at physics
feedback and
This
ideas
afternoon.
and stuff?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Physics is
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing, and this has been fun as always. And
new
thank you
games that have
for
been coming
being
forward.
a bleeding edge kind of guy, man.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we got to use the bleeding edge to solve bleeding edge problems. So yeah.
Where people
That's
are
right.
starting
That's
to
right.
like, expect it.
All right, man. I think I'm going to take off. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks a lot for staying to the end. Thank you.
I'll send you an email. Bye bye.
Sorry,
Thanks.
it became hard to hear.
Yeah. But more and more games are getting involved with physics and like
Let's
realistic
take one more
physics.
loop
So
around.
it's more and more people are kind of like expecting it with games.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah, definitely. And usually, like with games, I feel like default physics or just like a little bit of tweaking with what the game engines can do is good enough. But then, like, yeah, like when you're trying to go for like that extra polish or the AAA quality or like a realistic simulation, then you really have to delve deep. And usually, with people with enough resources, they have like dedicated physics people, not like throwing one guy doing everything.
Yeah. It's huge. Yeah, we don't have any of that in Rayori, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
All right.
We've
Hey, Patrick.
had to actually
job. I
build
think I'm gonna
some
hop off soon.
features to avoid the fact that players can
Exhibition's
put their
pretty
heads
much
through
closed.
and kind of
It
like
closes in 3 minutes.
try and peek each other's cards or what cards are coming out of your deck. We've had to work around the fact that
Hey, thanks a lot for coming.
through the geometry.
Why,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
We'll definitely
Yeah,
keep
and
in
so, like,
touch
that's
with
probably a problem with
any
like,
information, and we'll
but
definitely
what
follow.
devices can you play this on? 'Cause, like,
Absolutely.
on a
Yeah,
Quest or
yeah.
something with a big enough
Yeah, always
boundary,
looking
couldn't you, like,
for,
walk through?
you know, would love to tell you guys more about
we
our future
actually have this
conferences.
great,
If you're interested in talking
repositioning
about
feature where you
content
push a
or, you know,
button
just
and then
chatting,
it'll
feel free to shoot me an email.
avatar into
And if
the
you're interested in
kind of, like,
speaking or
little
exhibiting, yeah,
base
absolutely.
of the
Definitely
game
let
that
Oh,
us
you
know.
definitely exhibiting.
Yeah.
So we definitely, and I would love
Oh,
to help you
nice,
get
okay.
this. I'd love to
So
help.
if you walk
Looking at
to,
some
like,
of your hiccups, I
opposite
think
end
we
of
can
your
give you some
space
development
and
help
hit the
if that's
button
any. If you're
and walk
seeking
back,
anything like that,
you'll
We
be
or if
able
you like to do
like,
everything
walk
inside. You know, some
the
people
arena
don't
and
like
get
that.
like really close to the
um
monsters and stuff.
Dylan, Wyatt was here, Sean,
Cool, and
everybody is
other
working
than
like
like
outside. We partner.
very impressive
So Dalek is a
Quest
partner,
could get
Portals is a
all the way
partner,
across
Ice is a
and, like,
partner, Triart is a
look at the
partner.
opponent's
We love
card.
working with people. We
Pretty
need all the
big
help we can get. So
arena.
thank
Oh,
you for
perfect. So
covered.
partners are everywhere.
I guess
Yes,
Quest was
definitely. You heard
Quest.
complaints about
Somebody could
movement.
do
We
it, it
have
would
some
be
pretty
Quest.
clever movement systems, and
Yeah.
the
Okay.
poor camera guy
Cool.
But as for
built a
headsets,
nice
we work
modular
on, we
movement
work on
system where you
everything,
press
including
the
like
button
Windows mixed reality headsets.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Except
Okay.
for
thing
we're
Yeah.
not on PlayStation
to
and we're
make
not on Quest.
a flight
Okay.
Yeah,
stuff
you
like
would
that.
need
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
encountered
that
some of
USB
our
cable
training
for the
stuff.
Quest
We've
to
done
play it.
massive amounts
That's
of people's,
right. Yeah.
so we're used to like how to
Okay,
do
we definitely want to get on
how
the
to
Quest
break what
once
rules you can
we
break
have all the features completed.
Yeah, No, absolutely.
Plus,
Yeah.
this is wonderful because
Nice,
my
yeah.
cat is very pleased.
How far do you think it
Petting.
is before you
Yeah, that's
go,
great.
like, it would be done with early access?
Yeah. That's why you can
Yeah,
pet
so
your
what is
cat and
what was your
attend the
biggest
conference.
hiccup? What was
Yeah.
your biggest hiccup? I'm curious of
Yeah,
using the
In my opinion,
multiplayer thing.
things on our
in my
roadmap
opinion,
of what we
it's
want to
the
include.
audio. Yeah.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You know, like
here in the
leaderboards,
exhibition, we hear too much.
an actual built-in
There in the
tournament
panel, we hear
mode,
too little. In real
options
life,
players can go to,
you
like,
hear
left-handed
just the right
mode or
amount in the exhibition,
Mhm.
just like adjust your
and
graphics and all that
there's
stuff. We don't
microphones and
have any of that.
speakers for the
Oh,
panelists.
Why? What a
Yeah.
great idea,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I wonder
the
why I
big ones are like
Mhm.
player
So
avatar
yeah,
customization, card
weren't able to get
deck
that in 2.5
customization.
weeks. This
So you
this
can
was a
like
two and a
build your
half
own
Well,
week
deck
yeah,
right
no,
thing.
this
now.
is very
So
impressive for
One
2.5
deck that
weeks.
me and Jeremy
We also do a
put
lot.
together to
I also do a lot
nice
with
and balanced
optimization as
and
well,
oh,
render
okay.
docking the
very
crap out
balanced
of
deck.
everything. So
Awesome.
if that's
Really
something you need
competitive
when you have
play, but
4,000 of these people
people
here,
still
Yep.
want to be able
Yep.
to.
your
Yep.
COVID conference sounds very interesting,
Oh
especially
yeah,
as you
that's
start
really
adding more
important. And then that's going to
more
shake balance
people.
too, and
Yeah.
people
Oh
start
yeah,
making their own
The
decks.
poor
Yeah.
Quest, I can hear it screaming half the
and
time, right?
Yeah.
neat features
In the
like
future, we'll
when
be
you
able
have
to
deck
allow you
customization, you're gonna
to
have the
upload your own
ability to
custom
limit the
avatar, so
cards
you could put your cat
Of
can't
course.
have a player's
model.
opponent.
Oh,
So
but
when
yes,
you
I'll be
pet your
hovering
cat,
around, being like,
Oh, deck.
"Hi."
it's a real cat.
Yeah.
There's quite a long
Oh,
way to
yes.
go
Uh-huh.
still.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone is
Right. My deck
adorable.
is
That's right.
all
No, a
this
friend of mine's like,
still.
"What are you doing?" I'm like, "You don't understand. The cat
That would
made
actually,
demands.
that's
You must
hilarious.
do
That would
what's
actually
required."
work.
So
Well, of
yeah,
course,
I'll
of
hover
course.
around like
Because we have a spell
Yeah.
that does
under a
direct
cloud
damage.
with
If you just
Nice
add
thing
10
is
of
you can
those to
come to
your
the
deck,
conference
game
and
over.
pet your cat. You don't have to take your cat on the
I
plane.
mean,
Yeah.
exactly. Isn't that the
Yeah.
whole
So
point? I mean,
that's
this is great.
that's
Giving a
That's
great
classic.
talk, being like,
Why
"Yes,
that rule
everything is
exists, I
going
feel
well.
like.
yeah.
Exactly what you
Yeah.
need to do." Oh,
But
oh,
we've
you
got
fine. Shush your
That's
mouth.
really
great.
nice competitive gameplay when you do
Oh,
PvP.
But
all
yeah,
right.
It's
I'll be in
anyone's game.
contact
I
with that
mean,
sort of
there's
stuff,
it's a
and
card game.
Yeah, please
So it's
please
all
shoot me an
about
email. Yeah, I took a screenshot of you
um,
already, so yeah.
what
yeah,
cards you're drawing.
I think
Have
I
you?
put my email and find out. Yes,
Yeah.
maybe. We'll
You know, luck of
Awesome.
the
But yeah,
draw. But
definitely
that's
see what
the
we can
same
do
in
to get this up
Yu-Gi-Oh.
and running
You're playing
because
the
you know,
actual physical
well,
card game. So I
your
feel like we
emails
did a good
being
job of
off the hook, just as ours
bringing
have,
that
being like,
over.
"Oh, great idea." And the more people,
Yeah, definitely.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Cool.
I just
Thanks a
need
lot
to
for coming. I
that.
think we're gonna close down
Yeah,
exhibition now. I think
Gonna
I'll
do that
probably
today.
hop off and get
Nice.
something to eat too. Oh, thanks a
Ah,
lot for coming.
goodness.
Cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it,
Not a
Chris.
problem.
Hope
It's
to
great
see you at the
talking
next
to you too.
conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you in
I
email.
hope to see you
There's the
too.
link
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
Thank you guys for coming. I think exhibition's closed. That's it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
201. We're good. Thanks
Okay.
everybody for
All right.
coming. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. See you guys.
See you.
See you.